Well, tantalizing Tuesday afternoon. How are you? And welcome to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, presented by playalberta.ca. Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the province. And be sure to use the promo code Gregor50. Get your free $50 play this October at playalberta.ca. Of course, it is game day, and man, it is game day across the NHL. All 32 teams will be playing. The first game is Washington and Philadelphia, and they're scheduled to start at 4 o'clock Edmonton time, which we all know is going to be like 4:08. And then basically every 15 minutes after that, they have the puck drop and wheeling around 6:15, 6:30, 6:45, 7 o'clock, 7:15, yada, 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 all the way through until there is Calgary and Pittsburgh. They drop the puck at 7 o'clock Edmonton. Then there's Ottawa's in Utah. That's at 7:15. Calgary and Pittsburgh is at 7:30. Then there's a little bit of a break. 8:15 for the Sharks and the Ducks, and then LA and Vegas. So the two teams, Toronto and Tampa, played last night. They're both playing tonight. And then tomorrow, you'll have, again, only one game, and it'll be a rematch of tonight's Philadelphia and Washington game, as they will be in Washington tonight. They are in Philadelphia. And then Thursday. So the Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I'd outlined that at the start of the season. The NHL has a high percentage of games Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays this season. So kind of makes sense. Limited, get a little bit of time off. You know, it was only one game last night. If you didn't have Amazon, you didn't watch it. And away you go. If you're a Leaf fan, you're pretty happy. They got the victory. Stolar's playing pretty well. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, huge hit on Gensel. They actually got fined. They said it was interference right at the whistle. I thought it was kind of bang, bang. But either way, he gets a fine for being naughty. Is how that works. The Edmonton Oilers, they are looking to get back on track. Not everywhere, because I think defensively, you can say their defensive game the last 3 games has been really solid. They haven't given up much at all. In that game to Philly, there was an own goal. The game in Nashville, Preds didn't score much. And then even in Dallas, they didn't give up much. They also, unfortunately, haven't produced much at all offensively. The Oilers are tied for dead last in goals per game at a whopping 2. They have 12 goals through 6 games. Now, Captain Obvious will tell you that their offense will pick up. I think we all believe that. And I'm probably in the minority here based on how I see people's reaction, but to me, there's a clear difference in how you view an offensive slump or if they're not scoring compared to if your goalie lets in a bad goal. It's very different. And maybe it's subconscious for people, I don't know. But I hear a lot of people saying, wow, the Oilers offense will get back on track, because they did. Stuart Skinner doesn't have a track record. But if you actually look under Chris Knobloch, Stuart Skinner does indeed have a track record. A very good one. Most wins in the NHL under Knobloch. 6th in save percentage, 5th in goals against, 7th in adjusted save percentage, expected goals. Very good. It's top 7 in those 4 categories. Over a 50-game period where he started 50 out of the 69 games. I'd say that's pretty impressive. Stu Skinner allowed a goal against Duchesne that I talked to him about it today. He said he didn't like how he tracked the puck. And he was explaining to me, what tracking is for a goaltender. So Duchesne has a little bit different of a release. And, as a goal, you kind of know different guys' releases. And so when Duchesne shot that puck, Skinner anticipated it going higher. And that's why it went under his glove. He goes, hey, I got to make that save. I got to track it better. He didn't track it. I also, yesterday on the show, we talked to Woodley about Stuart Skinner now. When his glove hand, he has fingers up. And we explained what that means. So when you shake a hand, right, your fingers are horizontal, right? You're shaking your hand, they're horizontal. Fingers up is when they're pointing upward. So now his glove hand. So what happens is his elbow comes out a bit and his fingers go up. Now people are going to say, oh, that's been an issue. No, you know when he changed it? Midway through last season. He had a really good second half of the season. Had a little tough go in a few games against Vancouver. And it seems like those 3 games in Vancouver mattered more to people than the 15 games after when he came back and allowed 2 goals or less in 11 of the 15 playoff games. Had the identical save percentage as Sergei Bobrovsky over that period of time and had a lower goals against average. But for some, they're like, I don't remember that. I only remember the games in Vancouver, and I don't like those goals. So that's what I remember on. Now, it's human nature. Why, I'm not sure. Why are brains wired to want to remember negative more? Because if I asked you right now, name the soft goals that you haven't liked from Stu Skinner, most people probably have 5 easily that you could name. Okay. Now name his 5 best saves. Don't remember those. Not nearly as much, and I wonder why. Because if the weak goal is harmful, well, then the great save is just as beneficial, is it not? But most don't remember that as much. Whereas if a forward doesn't score, you think about Stuart Skinner lets in a bad goal against Duchesne. And everyone's like, oh, he's got to save that. You're fired up. A forward has the wide open net or a goalie down and out and doesn't score. Your anger is not even 50% the same level of frustration as a weak goal. Why? They're both equally important. They're both equally altering the game. And you can't tell me that saving a puck is clearly way easier or harder than scoring. If it's a shot that you think the goalie should save compared to a guy who has an open net, what's the difference? They're both missed opportunities. But think about how a lot of us will have a much different reaction to a soft goal than a missed great scoring chance. It's really not even close. And so the other thing I looked at is I hear from a lot of people, wow, Stuart, the Oilers can't win with Stuart Skinner. Well, they just went to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final. And if you say you can't win with them, yeah, but I didn't like the goal in Game 7, and that's all that matters. What? How was Bobrovsky in Game 4, 5, 6 that allowed Edmonton back in? Those games don't matter? Like, to me, that's the ultimate cherry picking. Ultimate. Because if Stu Skinner doesn't stand on his head in Game 6 against Dallas, you might never get to the Stanley Cup final. Everyone forgets that game. Stu Skinner should have been the first, second, and third star that night. Right? So, to me, Stu Skinner in his second season, I went back over the last 2 years. Because I do think at times, like, as a fan, you watch your team as you should. You got way more important things to do than watch other stuff. But it's my job. If I feel I'm going to cover the NHL, then I should cover the NHL, not just one team. Obviously, I cover the Oilers closer, but I read, I look at a lot of video, I watch a lot of other stuff so I can give a comparison. And so you look at Stuart Skinner's numbers, and I think everybody remembers the weak goal, assuming that Stu Skinner is the only goalie in the league who allows weak goals. Right? I had Scott on Twitter who made a point, and so I looked it up quickly. It's Chris mentioning that the Oilers had 23 losses last year where they gave up 4 more goals. You can't rely on scoring 5+ goals to be a top-tier team, is what Chris said. Okay, interesting point. But then I said, well, let's compare that to the other 16 playoff teams. Do you know where Edmonton ranked in games where they allowed 4 goals against last year? 5th fewest in the NHL. Winnipeg had 17, Florida had 18, Carolina 20, Boston 24, Edmonton and LA 25. Playoff teams, all the other playoff teams are worse than them. So was Edmonton really that leaky? I don't think they were. So now let's just look at some simple numbers amongst goalies the last 2 seasons in the NHL. And I even included the numbers this year, where obviously Stuart Skinner doesn't have great numbers. So, over the last 2 seasons and early on this year, which is extremely small this season, but I included it anyway, just for fun. Stuart Skinner. First of all, there's only 12 goalies who have played 100 games in that time. Stuart Skinner is ninth in games played at 113. Amongst those goalies, only 5 of them have a better save percentage than Skinner. Hellebuck, Sorokin, Shesterkin, Ottinger, and Saros. He's tied with Bobrovsky. He's ahead of Vasilevsky, Georgiev, Tristan Jarry, Jordan Binnington, and Markstrom. Then you go to goals against average in that time. Well, guess what? He's also 6th. So here's a young goalie who, and those are the first 2 years of his career, and he's right in there amongst what a lot of people consider some of the best goalies in the game. But because Oiler fans watch the Oiler games way more than you watch other teams, as you should, I think some people believe that Stu Skinner is the only goalie in the league who allows a bad goal every now and then. Because if you look at his overall numbers, they're not remotely horrible at all. Is he susceptible at times? Yeah, just like Hellebuck's susceptible. Ask what happens when teams get a scouting report on Connor Hellebuyck in the playoffs. He's being lit up like a Christmas tree. Connor Hellebuyck, Vezina Trophy winner, Connor Hellebuyck. So I think at times people need to take a step back or at least be open to the fact that maybe your angst and frustration is a tad overblown when you compare it to other peers. I'm not saying Stuart Skinner's not paid like an elite goalie. He only has 2-year track record. He can be inconsistent at times. Those are all true. But he's also had stretches where he's very good, where he's shown to be mentally tough, where he's won a big game. None bigger than Game 6 of the Western Conference Final when your team did nothing. They had 10 shots on goal the entire game. You had the puck in your own zone the whole time, with a lot of pressure to win the game. Otherwise, you go back to Dallas for Game 7. So to me, you always, you can get mad and it's be great, but at least be open to thinking, well, maybe, because I talk to a lot of people and I see it online. Wow, the scorers are going to score. And I agree with that. I think the scorers will score. But right now, their power play stinks. Both things can be true. Their power play has been terrible. I think it'll get better. Stuart Skinner hasn't been as consistent as you like. He'll get better. He's proven it in his first 2 years. This guy's shown you he can have a tough stretch and bounce back. He's done it multiple times. Heck, he did it at the most important time of the year. Or you could say, wow, but he let in one goal he didn't like, so that ruins everything. Okay, but I don't think that's a very accurate or fair analysis. So, you look at the Oilers moving ahead tonight against Carolina. It's been a very odd series, these two teams, the last few seasons. Who's ever the home team lights them up. The Oilers have won at home 6-1 and 6-4. Carolina's won in Carolina 7-2 and 6-3. Will that continue tonight? Oiler fans hoping it does. But you come into this game tonight, and Carolina doesn't give up a whole bunch. The Oilers, now they've had some practice time, so that could help, because they got to get going offensively. It has been an ugly run. But so and this goes back to my analysis. So you look at Stuart Skinner. Stuart Skinner's numbers were pretty good last year. First of all, he's not overpaid at all. He's actually a pretty bargain deal when you look at his 2.6 cap hit compared to all the other starting goaltenders. And then you look at his numbers. Guys are making 3-4 times as much. They don't have 3-4 times better numbers. Not even close. But you look at the angst and the vitriol that Skinner gets, and then you'll have a guy who's been here for 10 years in his career who's never been a really good 5-on-5 player. Doesn't nearly face the same vitriol at all. Right? I don't get it. Honestly, I don't. So we'll touch on that. Also, Darnell Nurse, I asked him today about being more physical, and he said, you know what? I think my game's better when I'm more physical. I wasn't where I should have been last year in that department. And when he plays more physical, he feels he's more aggressive just at stepping up on guys. So not always just in the scrums or fighting or body checking, but just how he plays. Closes his gaps better. he feels he's been better. And I would agree. I think Darnell Nurse has had a pretty good start to the season. Now he's going to play with Dermott tonight, and he was practicing on the right side. I still think he's going to start on the left, but basically him and Dermott at times, because they're both lefties, he's just been practicing more on the right side just because he has to take a few more shifts on the right side just based on how they do things. So Emberson will come out. You'll have Kulak play with Stetcher. I thought Nurse and Stetcher were fine. We'll see. Obviously, the coaches, they want to try something. We'll see if it's the right move or not. Up front, McDavid's back with Nugent Hopkins and Hyman. Draisaitl with Jeff Skinner and Arvidsson. Henrique will play tonight with Podkolzin and Perry. The two Ps are getting a promotion according to head coach Chris Knobloch. He's really liked what they've done. He's played well, so they give him a little bit extra responsibility. And then you have Jan-Mark Brown and Derek Ryan rounding out. The Hurricanes are going to go with the same lineup they had in their loss to St. Louis. Anderson will get the start in goal. You know what? Their big line, of course, in Carolina is Aho centering Jarvis on one side and Svechnikov on the other. That's their most dangerous line. Kotkaniemi's actually off to a pretty good start. It's got 3, 5, and 5 points for the first 4 games, which Nate Cash and either Roslovic or Blake, they kind of split duties there in St. Louis. Stahl, Martinuk, and Carrier, that's their third line, kind of their hard line. They like to have them against the other team's top 6. So we'll see kind of what matchups they get. Slavin and Burns, Gostisbehere and Walker, and then Orlov and Chatfield. Anderson is in between the pipes. Carolina comes in early on this year with a distinct advantage in special teams. They're 25% on the power play, and they're 83.3% on the penalty kill. The Oilers combined are 61.7%. Ugly. 6.7% on the power play. They're 1 for 15. And on the PK, they've allowed 9 goals on 20 kills for a rough 55%. So they'll be looking to improve in both of those departments. You can always text in as 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. When we come back, we'll go out to Carolina. We got a lot of texts to get to. We'll get to those. We got Maniscalco, the voice of the Hurricanes, join us. Andi Petrillo. Dave McCarthy will be by at 3:20. Struds. TR's in, spec DVD, so it is a loaded show. Also remind you, if you're coming to the autograph session tomorrow here at West Edmonton Mall, we will be set up, and Kate's going to be out there. We got some prizes to give away, and we're also selling hats, $25 cash, the brand new Sports 1440 hats. I got a limited edition now. I got a new run that's coming, but if you want one, 25 bones each, we'll be selling those as well, so you get them at cost. That's great. Take a quick break. We'll return to the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Day or night, tasting just so right. You can order Oodle Noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. Delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order Oodle Noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. So stay on your couch all day and order oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle Noodle.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Michelle and Colette are sisters. Sisters who don't agree on much, especially when it comes to which hockey team is the best.
Edmonton is the best, baby. Vancouver's #1.
Even when it comes to meat snacks from Wilhawks.
I love the Harris Schweiner. The ham sausage rules.
But they will agree
Wilhawk beef jerky is the best.
it might just be the only thing Alberta hockey fans can agree on.
Others can try to imitate, but no one can duplicate Wilhawk beef jerky. Only available in Leduc. Get yours today, because you don't win friends with salad.
Gateway Toyota treats us like we're precious gems.
Because that's what we are.
Every vehicle purchased from Gateway Toyota includes enrollment into their GEM program. It stands for Gateway Exclusive Membership.
And it gives you 5-year access to over $2,500 in benefits.
Free oil changes.
Free tire and windshield repair.
Free car washes.
Even an annual detailing.
You'll also get special discounts, trade-in bonuses, and referral rewards.
I feel like a gem.
At Gateway Toyota, just off Calgary Trail at Ellerslie Road.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at Cantork.com.
Wow, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m. I couldn't ignore it. Everyone kept saying,
You look so tired.
Are you getting enough sleep, dear?
Hon, you look like you need some rest.
But I'm not tired. I guess I just look that way.
But you don't have to. I'm Dr. Vance Elliott, and I provide skin-refreshing treatments designed to give you a fresh and natural appearance. Don't worry, we won't drastically change how you look, but we will help you look as energetic as you feel. Book your consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
The 2025 Honda Civic Hybrid is here, and it may sound too good to be true. With a 2-liter 4-cylinder backed by 2 electric motors, giving a combined 200 horsepower, it's our most powerful and fuel-efficient Civic ever. Plus, with a range of over 800 kilometers and available features like a Bose premium sound system, your crew will love it too. Maybe it should be called the Civic 2.0. Redefine your drive with the 2025 Civic Hybrid. In stock now with rates from 3.49%. Visit Prairie for details.
Are you watching the interest rates these days? Of course you are. Paying less interest leaves money in your pocket. That's why St. Albert Dodge is happy to tell you that right now they have 0% financing on virtually all new 2024 models. Hundreds to choose from: Jeep Compass, Wrangler, Grand Cherokee, and Wagoneer, Dodge Durango, and Hornet. Ram 1500, 2500, 3500, all with 0% financing. Why pay interest? Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
When you want to recognize the top performer on your team, come create memorable and customized trophies and awards with Elite Promotional Marketing. Elite's in-house design team will help you achieve your corporate award goals. Head to elitepromomarketing.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. Watch every Oilers game at OTR with $5.25 Molson Canadian, $5 Pink Whitney shots, and 60-cent wings. Plus, play Oilers score and win in On the Rocks gift cards. Oilers hockey at OTR. Book your table today. Jasper Ave in 118th.
The Jason Gregor Show. The best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$225. Welcome back, Jason Gregor. Connor Halley with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Also, sports1440.ca. Thanks for listening and watching. Oilers taking on the Hurricanes in one of 16 games tonight. Whew, a lot of options for you at playalberta.ca. Maybe you just want to run 16 home games. Of course, 16 home teams aren't going to win, but can you pick 3 or 4 of the road teams that will win? We'll see. Get your luck. Try your luck at playalberta.ca. Use the promo code Gregor50, and you will get a $50 free play when you use the promo code Gregor50. Let's talk a little hockey now as we go around the NHL. Brought to you by McDonald's. Monopoly is here, baby. Get in, try it. You'll love it. And also remember that any purchase you make at McDonald's, a percentage of that goes to support Ronald McDonald House, a fantastic facility in Edmonton that helps so many people at the worst possible time when their kids are sick in the hospital. So you're having a Big Mac or the Big Arch, just remember you're helping out the kids. As we're going to talk a little Oilers and Hurricanes with the voice of the Hurricanes, Mike Maniscalco. Mike, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Doing great, Jason. Great to talk to you again.
Yeah, always good to have you on the show, Mike. So I guess the biggest change really for the Hurricanes is on their back end, right? Two of their top four defensemen are out in Pesce and Brady Shea, and you bring in Gostisbehere and Walker. We spoke to the GM yesterday, Eric Tulsky, and you know what? Obviously, they went for players that they felt would fit their system in how they play, right? Good puck movers, good skaters, both a little bit smaller overall. I know it's super early. The Canes have played the fewest games in the league at 4, but how have those two fit in thus far?
I mean, hand in glove. And I don't know if you're an analytics guy at all, but the analytics will tell you that the Hurricanes haven't missed a beat by adding Walker and Gostisbehere. And, you know, Shane Gostisbehere had been in the system before, Jason. So it's, you know, to say he's a new guy, yeah, but, you know, the Canes did bring him in 2 years ago at the trade deadline, and he fit in really well in his brief stint. Then he, you know, hit unrestricted free agency. I don't blame anybody when you become an unrestricted free agent. You want to test the waters and see what you can get. You can go, but he came back to Carolina for a reason. So, you know, a little cheat code for him. He knew what to expect. It wasn't jumping into, you know, cold water all the way. And the way that Sean Walker played, it's designed. And it's funny. I was talking with Sean today after the morning skate. I just asked him, you know, was one of the real reasons why you came here. It just seems to suit your style. He goes, I love how they play. North-South, let's go. And he goes, with the offers that were out there, this was the team that I thought that fit me. So they were fine. Now, I always hate saying this because when you take that away, and I'm trying to make it out like, oh, yeah, they've completely replaced Shea and Pesce. They haven't done that. You know, we have to see when we get to the end of the book. You know, we're still on the first or second page with this season. But, you know, so far the returns are good. But, you know, Jason, they also lost a lot up front in players like Teuvo Teravainen and Stefan Nason. And, you know, the Jake Gensel issue, he was only in Carolina for a brief time, but he was a guy who I think a lot of folks thought was going to re-sign in Carolina and be part of the weaponry up front. So they had some work to do up front. And what they did is they didn't go out and get a big name. You know, they didn't go out and get a Stamkos or sign guys who have scored, you know, a ton of goals at some point in their career. They retooled their bottom six and bringing in guys like Eric Robinson and, you know, William Carrier has been a perfect fit for the Jordan Staal line for Carolina. So it was a busy offseason. It was transition, but, you know, the Canes identified players that fit how they want to play. And there hasn't been that much drop off. But then again, you know, like you said, Canes have only played 4 games. It feels like everybody else has played 16 and I'm sitting here on 4 games as the play-by-play guy.
Yeah, no, they've only played 4. Same with Washington. Obviously, everybody's in action tonight, and I'm sure they'll. I was looking at, you know, their schedule starts to heat up here late October into November. Their top line, Svechnikov, Aho, and Jarvis. That's obviously the top line. Do you expect them to go head to head against McDavid, or will they try to get the Staal line out there more?
That answer depends on the head coach of the Edmonton Oilers and Chris Knoblauch and what he wants to do. I think in the perfect world, you know, you want to get Jordan Staal out against the other team's top line, but really it's now in today's league, it's really more the defensive pair that you can get out on the ice. And look for Jacob Slavin to be tapped every time that McDavid comes over the boards, and the Slavin-Burns pair. And, you know, the one thing that has really, in Sebastian Aho's career, that has really gone under the radar is how competitive he is in his own zone. And, you know, he wants these matchups. And Seth Jarvis, you know, while he's not big in stature, he has turned himself into a pretty good two-way player right now. So the Canes are responsible with those guys. And, you know, Andrei Svechnikov's a big body. So if it goes best on best or top line on top line, however we want to call it in the media, you know, I'm going to enjoy it. I think that's always fun to watch when you can see that. But I really think that the way the Canes play, it's really more the defensive pairing you get on the ice against the other team's top threats.
So you look at the Hurricanes, and you know we talked to Eric Tulsky yesterday about the fact, and he brought it up. He said, you know what, we've been a 110-point team in the last 4 regular seasons, but then in the playoffs we haven't got it done. And so they're looking at what they can do different. What do you feel like? Is there any obvious thing you think they can do different?
No, you know, that's the thing, because when you get to this point of the playoffs, and look, the Hurricanes now are not built on what they do in the regular season. If they win the President's Trophy, that's not a banner that they want to hang. If they win the Metro Division, that's great. But, they're playing to get to the Stanley Cup final. So it is, what are the differences? What are the margins? And you saw it last year in Edmonton. What was the biggest difference last year in the postseason, maybe than the previous few years for the Oilers? Well, how good was that penalty kill for Edmonton? They rode that through the Western Conference and took it into the Stanley Cup final against Florida. You've got to be so good in those margins, because once you get to the playoffs, everybody knows what everybody's going to do, Jason. There are no more magic tricks anymore. Like when we were kids, like, oh my God, the Western Conference, we don't see teams play like this. Now it's everybody knows what everybody does. So you've got to be good in the margins. You've got to get fourth line scoring or third line scoring. You can't just be a 2-line team when you get to the playoffs, or, you need your power play to click. Now, it doesn't mean you have to have the number one power play in the postseason, but if you get 4 power play attempts in a playoff game, you got to score a goal. And that was one of the things that was missing for Carolina when they get into the playoffs. When the offense goes dry, you need the special teams to come up. And, look, the Rangers, the last few years when the Canes get bounced, you can point to which team won the special teams battle. So when the Canes win that, and that's where I think, Eric Tulsky and Rod Brindamore, when you're looking at how do you make this team better, how do you improve those little, it's the details, not the big picture anymore, because it's a playoff team. It's okay. How do you fine tune the little stuff and make that better? And, look, now you've got Shane Gostisbehere quarterbacking the number one power play, and Brent Burns is running the second one. That's not a bad 1-2 option on the blue line. So we'll see where it goes. And, they tried with the core group that they had as long as they could to see if it could get over the hump and get to the Stanley Cup. And then you get to a point where all these contracts hit free agency and you can't sign everybody in today's day and age as much as you want to. So you have to address, if we tweak this, is this going to actually be the payoff down the road? We're always, we're focused in the here and now. And at the same time, are you going to win the cup? This team is kind of more focused on what are we going to do with the little details to help win the cup? And we'll see. Again, there's still such a long way to go, but this should be a playoff team. I'm going to be interested to see, are those details, do they start winning those more when you get into that second season?
Look, yeah, well, and that the battles and little differences here, their health and their goaltender would probably help, as well as Mike Maniscalco joins us, a voice of the Hurricanes, and that's that's always kind of been the wild card in Carolina. Is they've had, you call it untimely, unfortunate, unreliable injuries for their goaltenders at key times, specifically in the playoffs. And so, with that in mind, how closely are they going to monitor Freddie Anderson? Because when he's on, he's really good. But if he's in the press box too often, it doesn't matter how good he is.
Well, the one thing I can give you a diplomatic answer, which is, every team now needs 3 goalies. We can talk about 2, but you have to have organizational depth, because, an injury is going to come somewhere to your goaltending during the course of the season. Can you run with whoever you perceive to be the number 2? I actually think one of the questions this year with the Hurricanes, Jason, as we get deeper, is when you get closer to the playoffs, will it be Frederik Andersen, or could it be Pyotr Kochetkov as the goalie they're going to run with when they get to the playoffs? What this team has done really successful in the regular season, they've had a rotation. It'll shake out. One guy will get, maybe 55% of the starts over 45, but, they're pretty comfortable with either netminder. And then last year they signed Spencer Martin, or claim him off of waivers and from Columbus, and he gave them some huge spot starts when they really needed him, and he's still in the system with Carolina. So I'd love to give you a flat-out answer on Frederik Andersen and say, yeah, they're going to monitor him, but just monitor the Canes goaltending situation, because it's going to be like baseball. It's a pitching rotation. You're on the bump today, you're in the crease tonight for Frederik Andersen, and in Calgary, it'll more than likely be Pyotr Kochetkov, and that's how the Hurricanes will roll. And it'll be something that bears, I think, a little bit more attention to when we get to, 15 games out to the playoffs in the regular season of who's getting the majority of the starts in Carolina.
When you look at the Canes and Seth Jarvis, he's a fascinating player. A lot of people are really high in him. Mike, you see him every game. What does he do best, and where are there areas that he looks to improve to take his game to another level?
What he does best is, and it's so overused, but it's so true, hockey IQ. He knows where to put himself in the right spots, and he's not afraid to get there. If I've joked with him once or twice, if he's 6'2", he's on the cover of every NHL magazine right now. The way that he plays, he's absolutely fearless, and he loves the game, Jason. Like he's not one of these guys who plays it because he's good at it. He just loves to be around it. So, I can give you a half an hour soliloquy on what he brings to the party and how good he is and what he wants to do when he doesn't want to come out of the ice. He wants to be in every situation. One of the things that he has to do, and this we always want to look at, can he be better defensively or be a better passer? The thing that he has to do is he's got to take better care of himself from, it's a grind of a season. And what he played through last year, he played through a couple of injuries that, most guys would have been sidelined for a while, and he played through it. So he knows and understands that that's one of the things that he's got to be a little bit better as. And, and you become a pro, we hear that term, you get better at, understanding I don't have to play through this, or maybe I don't have to, put myself in this situation where this can happen. When he figures that out, he can really stay healthy for 82. There's no ceiling for how Seth Jarvis plays. He put 33 goals up last year, and there's no reason for me to think that's a fluke. I think that that's going to be the norm for him because he had to learn defense. That was what was drilled into him his first few seasons from Rod Brindamore. You take care of your end first. You can do whatever you need to do in the offensive zone to create and get your cookies that way. Well, he's opened up an Oreo factory last year with what he was able to do offensively. The junior numbers came back for him. So his big thing is just really taking care of himself and making sure that he's not putting himself in those spots where, he's going to take a big hit because of how fearless he is. And I know that that's a weird answer to say, but that really to me is that's the really big thing for what can he do a little bit better at this point in his young career.
Mike, great stuff. We'll see you at the rink tonight. Have an awesome day.
Thanks. You too, Jason. Always good to talk to you.
You betcha. That's Mike Maniscalco, the voice of the Carolina Hurricanes, and Svechnikov, who he's been an order killer in Carolina. And that's what's funny. The last two seasons, home team scores at least 6 goals. Oilers have won scores 6-1, 6-4 in Edmonton. Carolina won 7-2 and 6-3 in Carolina. The Oilers would love nothing more for that trend to continue. Do I think they can have an offensive explosion? Yeah, it's possible. But I'm not jumping on it yet. We'll see. Their power play's got to get going. I think they're at the point now where you score 1, and maybe the floodgates will open for that. That would be nice. Maybe it would transfer over to their 5-on-5 play because their 5-on-5 play has simply not been good enough. And really, it's mainly their top 6 where it hasn't been good enough. Jeff Skinner has more goals 5-on-5 than all other 5 top 6 forwards in the Oilers combined. He has 2. McDavid has 1. Draisaitl, Hyman, Nugent Hopkins, Arvidsson, no 5-on-5 goals. Arvidsson and Hyman don't have a point this season. So there's lots of room to improve offensively. You look defensively as a group, I think the Oilers the last 3 games would be pretty happy with what they've given up scoring chances, etc. Stuart Skinner was really good against Philly. And, had the one shot against Duchesne goal that people didn't like. Fine. It's one shot. I'm not even going to say he played horrible in that game. It was 1 goal. He had no chance on the second Duchesne goal. No chance. But against Philly, he was pretty good. So they'll need him to be better tonight for sure. But man, their offense, like Skinner's at least had a good game. Has the offense had 1 game start to finish? Because don't even tell me they were good against Philly. The top 6 did nothing until the final 3 minutes of that game and then scored in overtime. After the Flyers kind of missed on a breakaway. So imagine if they had scored on that in overtime. Oof, would have been even uglier. So we'll see. We'll talk more hockey with Andi Petrillo, some hockey and some soccer next on the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Mr. Rooter meets a ghost. 1 plunge, 2, and 3. A toilet clogged with a ghost? Man, I love plumbing. You're free now.
I will never find peace. The clog is fixed, yes, but I have never trusted the sump pump.
No problemo. I can fix that. Now go to the light, you little scamp.
Thank you, Mr. Rooter.
To resolve your unfinished plumbing business, trust one plumber, Mr. Rooter.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
For 5 days only, the President's Sale is on at the Brick. We've got the best offers of the season, like up to 50% off mattresses, up to $800 off sectionals, and up to 65% off sofas when you buy the matching love seat or chair. Also, when you buy more, you save more, up to an additional $1,000 when you buy 2 or more select major kitchen appliances. Plus, prepare for the holidays with our price protection guarantee. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Centre. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Centre's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit edmontonexpocentre.com today.
Find the perfect tractor for any job at Edmonton Kubota. Their massive selection of compact tractors has something for everyone, whether you're tackling small tasks or big projects. And right now, take advantage of 0% financing for up to 72 months. It's never been easier to get the power and reliability you need. Come down to Edmonton Kubota today and drive away with a tractor that's just right for you. Edmonton Kubota, where your perfect tractor awaits.
Raise a smoothie to any friend you've had since 1999. That's a good friend. And Booster Juice was there. Now celebrating 25 years in Canada and more than 450 locations from coast to coast. A silver anniversary splashed with lots of oranges. Celebrate 25 years of Booster Juice with the return of OG favorite smoothies like the Orangesicle, the Marathon, and the Original, made with oranges, bananas, strawberry sorbet, and probiotic yogurt. Happy 25th, Booster Juice. Download the Booster Rewards app today.
Hey, it's Scott from Sherwood and St. Albert Dodge. I think it's safe to say we are all paying attention to interest rates these days. If so, you'll like this. We have 0% financing available on Jeep Compass, Wrangler, Grand Cherokee, and Wagoneer. 0% on the Dodge Durango and the all-new Hornet. And the rates on Ram 1500, Ram 2500, and Ram 3500, you guessed it, 0%. Are you picking up the theme? We have 0% financing on virtually all 2024 new models with hundreds to choose from. Why pay interest? Instead, come get a new vehicle at St. Albert and Sherwood Dodge.
It's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.245. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, game day. Woo-hoo. Busy day in the National Hockey League with all 32 teams playing 16 games. And they're even going to start a little bit earlier tonight as they want start times. There's no games that start at the exact time tonight. That's right. They start first ones at 6 Eastern, then 6:30, 6:45, 7, 7:15, 7:30, 7:45, 8, 8:15, 8:30, 8:45, 9 Eastern, which is Edmonton, Carolina. We all know that's 9:07, but whatever. 9:15, 9:30, 10:15, and 11 o'clock is when they get going. So busy night in the National Hockey League. We'll talk a little soccer and hockey right now as we get to our footy report, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, home of the no payments, no interest for 1 full year on your furnace. Stay warm all winter. LegacyHeating.ca. As Andi Petrillo from CBC, One Soccer, and also now Amazon for the NHL joins us. Andi, how you doing?
Great. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Pretty good. You probably wish that Monday night would have had 16 games.
Oh my goodness. Well, you know what? There's something kind of special about being the game of choice, only choice of the night, focusing on that. But I will say this, as much fun as I'm having on the Thursday night coast to coast, I'm really happy this day doesn't fall on a Thursday, because I don't know if I could keep track of every single team.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my goodness, that would just be complete insanity. How many cups of coffee would I need for something like that? Goal here, goal there, goal here, goal there, penalty, fight. Like, it would just be me with a pointer going to every single game. It'd be a little crazy. So I'm going to sit back and enjoy like a fan.
Well, there is lots of Thursdays. I was looking, you got 12 and 13 games, so you better prepare yourself. Better get some extra caffeine.
You know what? And I think it was, you know how they have masterminds at any league, but, obviously particularly in the NHL that we're talking about, they have masterminds who put the schedule together. Everything that they have to take into consideration, to me, is just absolutely crazy how they're able to do that with the venues and know when concerts are coming in and when whatever's coming in, and just being able to, if you share it with a basketball team and all that kind of stuff. And, I think it's the NHL definitely knew that Coast to Coast was going to come on board on Thursdays. So, we thank them for creating Thursdays to be a little bit busier than maybe they normally would, because they knew that we would do this kind of show. So, I think we have 9 games this Thursday, but it's always like a good chunk of games to be able to bounce around for sure.
Yeah, the league's become predominantly Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays in the NHL this year. Obviously, there's a Sunday and a Friday here where there'll be a few extra, 7 games or something. But the Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays are the majority of games for a lot of the teams this year. Now, let's switch over to soccer. You've got the MLS play-in games tonight. Montreal takes on Atlanta. Vancouver takes on Portland. Give me your thoughts on those. The play-in. I'm still not sold on the play-in. To me, it just adds more average teams.
But isn't this the conversation, we have almost in every league? And I know we've even had this in the NHL, where I remember one time after one general manager's meeting, we were speaking to just some of the insiders, and they said that was something quite a few of the GMs or even owners were proposing, was to even extend the amount of teams that make it into the NHL playoffs. And, this is obviously something we're seeing in Major League Soccer, where now they have this play-in. So there's that 9th team that kind of squeaks in, as opposed to your top 8 in the Eastern and Western. So they have this 9th team that squeaks in that has to play against the 8th place team in order to then be the official 8th place team. In some ways, I'm like, okay, I get it. It gives, another spot to fight for. The play-in is a one and done, whereas the others are a best of 3. And it can kind of be exciting. But I'm with you too. The whole point is that you have to be, creme de la creme. And if everyone's just kind of, not everyone, but if a good chunk of teams are getting in, what are you doing? And you're right. It's almost like the anomaly would be the 9th place team going on to win it all. For sure, that would be the anomaly. And if a team ends up doing that, they're going to say, see, this is why this system works. Like, how long did we talk about the Los Angeles Kings being the 8th seed that went on to win the Stanley Cup? But we know that that's the exception to the rule. At the end of the day, that team that gets in usually gets eliminated pretty quickly. So it's kind of like, what is going on here? Having said all that, and I will give CF Montreal and Vancouver Whitecaps credit. They didn't finish as the 9th seed. They both finished as the 8th seed. So give them some credit, right? Like, they have to be in the play-in game. They have to face the 9th place team, but they finished 8th. If I have to kind of just point that out to everyone who is like, well, if the Canadian teams got in on that new rule, they finished 8th. For CF Montreal, I'm feeling so much better about them, Jason, because they've just been on this complete momentum ride. Everyone's found their groove. They seem to trust each other. They're listening to the manager, Courtois. They're scoring goals. And they're going to take on Atlanta United, a team that they've beaten. They faced twice this year, beaten them both times. They've each been by a goal, so you can't take anything for granted. They've been tight, and we still know anything can happen in the playoffs. The key to me, though, here, Jason, is whoever wins this gets a date with Inter Miami. And sometimes you can look a little too far ahead of the prospect of facing Messi and Suarez and just a pretty good group. And I think that, to me, and again, I know that they're professionals, but that isn't to say that your subconscious isn't already thinking that you're going to be the guy to swap jerseys with Messi at the end of the game. So if I'm Courtois, I'm saying, hey, guys, we're not in that 3-game series yet with Miami. We have to get through Atlanta. So that, to me, will just be what I want to see from CF Montreal. Can they live in the moment? Can they be in the moment and not get ahead of themselves? And then the Vancouver Whitecaps are taking on a Portland side where this is an interesting one, Jason, because they finished 8th.
Yeah.
So they should technically be hosting, and they're not.
Yeah, because the venue was full for now. I know we talk about, you know what, you kind of book venues well in advance, probably thinking like, why? So my question is, like, why couldn't they have hosted it one day later or one day sooner?
That would be MLS. So I think what they wanted was they wanted the play-in games to be the same day. So that's why they're both playing tonight. Obviously, CF Montreal will kick off at 7, and then the Vancouver game will be at 10:30 Eastern. So that I think they want it the same day. MLS can be very set in its ways. It can be very difficult to convince Don Garber, the commissioner and company, to move things. And this is also part of the Canadian grief, that we have with Major League Soccer. There are 3 Canadian teams in MLS, and there's a real belief. And then to your point, sometimes in moments like these, there's a real belief that MLS doesn't care about the Canadian teams. Right. They're not going to bend over backwards. They'll be like, well, too bad. You booked, you didn't have faith. I guess what they would say in some ways is like, well, you didn't take into consideration that your team was going to make the playoffs or at least be in this situation. Because here's the thing, if Vancouver wins, they will be able to play at home in the 3-game series. It's just for tonight that they can't do it. And MLS will just say, well, that's not our problem. Find another venue to go play at that's close by, but that's not the case. So they have to go to Portland, which is kind of crappy because you finished as the higher seed. You're not hosting. And by the way, Portland, that is not an easy place to play. The way that stadium is constructed, it really does feel like the fans are right on top of you. Like where the supporters section, it almost feels like a 90-degree angle. And when you're standing there, it feels like they're going to fall on top of you. And in that supporter section, because the Portland Timbers, the Lumberjacks, they have the massive log with the chainsaw that they're always making, that chainsaw feels like it's right by your ear. Yeah. So it can be all of that is to say, it can be a very intimidating crowd. Mm-hmm. And yet you're the higher seed and you can't host at home. But, the fact that Vancouver put themselves in this position is a little bit unfortunate. They were the stronger team of the 3 Canadian teams, expecting them to finish higher. They won the 3rd straight Canadian championship, going on and on about they're the best team in all of Canada. And yet here they are finding themselves in a play-in situation. And also the people who run their venue not even anticipating this. And now they've got to go on the road for this first very crucial play-in game. So it's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate, but hopefully they can overcome it.
Andi Petrillo joins us on Sports 1440 Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook. Look, moving ahead, Canada is going to play Suriname in the CONCACAF Nations League quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're the favorite in that game. And then should they win easily? Like, in theory, they probably should. But what did you make of how they looked against Panama?
Well, there's the good and the bad against Panama, because I don't think they played their best against Panama, yet they still found a way to win. And I think, to me, that's what's pretty key. And they got 2 goals from 2 players who we've been asking to score, and that's Kyle Larin and Jonathan David. So in a game where Panama didn't necessarily have some of their best players out there, they gave Canada a hard time. They really did. But the key is Canada responded. And they didn't buckle and they didn't break. And we have to remember that Panama, in the group stage game at Copa America, they play feisty. They get in your face. They try to get under your skin. And they did just that against the Americans. Tim Weah of the Americans picked up a straight red, I want to say in the 18th minute. And they ended up losing to Panama. And that was the dagger for the Americans. They did not advance out of the group. Copa America. A lot of people look at that game against Panama. So the Canadians were ready for that. And once again, Panama, hard tackles, physical play, getting in the Canadians' faces. And credit to Richie Larea, who's always good for a foul here and there and a little, mouthing off and probably a little scrap. He kept his cool. And I think that rattled Panama because they couldn't figure out, like, yes, they were causing, some problems and that they were affecting Canada's possession, but they weren't getting under their skin. And that was ticking Panama off more than anything. So, was it the best that we've seen Canada play? No. But the fact that it wasn't the best and they still won, impressive. And yeah, they should go out. And I know everyone's going to say, and I say this too, because it is the truth. Anything can happen in sports. And that's why you play till the final buzzer goes or the final whistle goes. But 100%, they should walk over Suriname. And it's also incredible, where we are with this Canadian team. When World Cup qualifying began in 2021, March of 2021, Jason, the first round was Canada versus Suriname. And so many people thought, no way Canada was going to get past them. And then we all know the history there and the journey and actually qualifying for Qatar 2022. This time around, there's no doubts. There should be zero questions. In fact, if Canada doesn't qualify for the Final Four, because whoever wins this goes straight to the Final Four of Nations League, which will be in March, it would be a catastrophic failure for the program and under Jesse Marsh. Because we are at the point now where we are talking about this Canadian team winning trophies. The first opportunity to win a trophy will be Nations League in March, Final Four, their first since 2000 Gold Cup. If they don't get past Suriname, to me, that is catastrophic. So I'm not even having this conversation of, well, Suriname could discern enough. If they don't make the Final Four, it's a disaster.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one. Now, like this one, like this should, I know there's no guarantee victories. There's always some shocking upsets, but I don't see any reason why they should lose this game by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
Quickly back to the NHL where we started. And it's early on. It's been a few weeks in the season. Still really early to kind of get a sense truly of some of the teams. But give me your thoughts on the Winnipeg Jets and their start. And they've picked up where they've left off in the regular season last year, being great defensively again. They got good depth. But like as Winnipeg almost entered the same conversation as Toronto, is where now it's about, can they do it in the playoffs, and can specifically their goaltender make some saves in the playoffs?
I don't know if they're there, because I just think it's been so bad for the Toronto Maple Leafs for so long. It's been such a noticeable trend in not being able to get past that first round. I think there's still a lot of faith that Winnipeg can do it. And, on Coast to Coast, we had Mark Scheifele on as our guest, who, by the way, was a riot. I didn't know he had 2 pet goats, but it was so wonderful because when we have these guests on, they can see the games that are happening. And Mark Scheifele is such a student of the game. He watches it no matter what. He knows not just what, if the guy's a righty or a lefty, he knows exactly their tape job. He knows exactly their stats. He can give you historical everything. And as we're trying to interview him, I think we had about a couple games going at the same time, and like 4 or 5 goals were scored. And he was just sitting there analyzing the goals and breaking them down for us, which was pretty brilliant. And I asked him about Paul Maurice's comments. After Paul Maurice won the Stanley Cup with the Florida Panthers, he's celebrating with his team. He's on the ice. Mm-hmm. And like one of the first interviews he does, he turns around and says, my hope is for the Winnipeg Jets to win the Stanley Cup next. And when I asked Mark about it, he goes, well, that, obviously it meant a lot to him, and he had some good things to say, obviously, about Mo, but he's like, yeah, that does speak to the depth, to the skill, but more importantly, the cohesiveness of that group. Because this, Jason, you can have on paper an all-star team. Yeah. The intangible is the dressing room. Like the guys coming together, how they respect one another, how they treat one another, how they play for one another. That's the intangible. So I think there's a lot that's great about Winnipeg. Now it's just a matter, to your point, when they make the playoffs, can they dig in? Because what are you going to pick on? Right now they remain, the only undefeated team right now in the NHL. We know that their goaltending is exceptional, Vezina caliber winning goaltending. We know that the players can put up points. We know that they're strong defensively. Now it's all about, like, maybe now that they have a little bit of those years of kind of heartache in the playoffs, you dig deep a little bit more. You kind of know what it takes. So that to me is more with Winnipeg. I'm looking more at those intangibles than anything else, because they 100% have the pieces.
Andi, great stuff. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you next Tuesday. Have a great day.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
That's Andi Petrillo. Of course, she's on Amazon Prime on Thursdays in the NHL. Of course, One Soccer, and CBC Sports. When we return, Terry Ryan will join us. We'll get to lots of hockey talk. Also, pretty big names suddenly available on the trade market. Ooh, juicy. Get to that after Connor Halley. And a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Booster Juice. They celebrate 25 years, and they're bringing back some of the classics just for you. The original, of course, the creamsicle, marathon, and a few other specials. Download the Boosters Reward app, order there, or go in store at Booster Juice.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Busy day in the NHL as we've got all 32 games on the ice. The Oilers, of course, hosting the Hurricanes. Puck drop just after 7 o'clock down at Rogers Place. Our pregame covers. Andrew Walker and Donovan Paulson gets going at 6 right here on Sports 1440. Elsewhere around the NHL, you got the Caps and Flyers. Wild in Florida to take on the Panthers. Devils hosting the Lightning. Maple Leafs in Columbus. Jets up against the St. Louis Blues. The Canucks in Chicago. Preds up against the Boston Bruins. Sens in Utah. Flames hosting the Penguins, and the Sharks take on the Ducks. Off the ice, Toronto Maple Leafs defenseman Oliver Ekman-Larsson has been fined $5,000 for interference on a Lightning forward Jake Gensel during Monday's game. The penalty is the maximum allowable under the collective bargaining agreement. The NBA season kicks off tonight as the defending world champ Boston Celtics hosting the New York Knicks. Tip-off 5:30, and at 8 o'clock you got the Timberwolves in Los Angeles to take on the Lakers. From the NFL, the Los Angeles Rams have opened up the 21-day practice window for wide receiver Puka Nacua. Nacua sprained his PCL in Week 1 and has missed the last 5 games. And sticking with the Rams, reports out there that the team has called multiple opposing teams about trading for wide receiver Cooper Kupp. The Rams have indicated a willingness to take on some of his 2024 salary and are seeking a second-round pick in return. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by our co-host and former NHLer Terry Ryan. Plus, we'll go around the NHL with Dave McCarthy from Sirius XM. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
It's Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility. Available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine. You can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer.
Often when I meet people at a party or I'm hanging out at my favorite restaurants, I'll introduce myself and they'll say, "Oh, you're Grant Fedoruk from Leading Edge Physio. What can I do about this sore knee? It's been bugging me for months." First, I was thinking when I'm out like this, I should just tweet my location so people know where to come for a consultation. But then I thought, I'm spending all this money on advertising Leading Edge. Maybe you could come by one of our clinics. That's where we have the technology and really smart physiotherapists who can give you all the advice and treatment you need. Have your people call my people, leadingedgephysio.com.
A premier hockey solution with a clear path for long-term development is proud to be entering its 8th season of independent borderless hockey, featuring provincial and cross-province competition with showcase-style regular season gameplay and a strong commitment to individual skill development. It's an attractive option for those seeking family life balance. The Hockey Super League offers opportunities for both male and female athletes born between 2012 and 2017. Visit hockeysuperleague.com for more information.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
My utility bills are going through the roof. How can I take advantage of the sun and put my lazy roof to work?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Energy team reporting. When you're ready to make your home or business more efficient, Action Electrical has the power to install solar panel systems and EV chargers.
Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta with supercharged skills and strong family values. ActionElectrical.net.
Your Co-op Grow team are your local experts because we live here too. Our agronomic specialists stay up to date with the latest research and technology to help support your entire farm operation. Talk to our team for advice tailored to your farm's needs. We have recommendations to help you optimize your crop yield and quality while enhancing the health of your land. Co-op, we're all growing together. Here for your farm, here for your family. Learn more at coop.crs/farm.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Culligan. For all your residential water needs, your local water treatment company, more than just big bottles, Culligan.com.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just after 3 o'clock. Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook. As always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. It is, of course, game day. Oilers taking on the Carolina Hurricanes tonight as the Oilers looking to win 2 in a row at home. Of course, they won their last home game against the Flyers last week. And hey, do you want to go to the game? We got a pair of seats we're going to give away in the 4 o'clock hour. So stay tuned for that. 833-401-1440 is the text line, 833-401-1440. As we are joined now by former NHLer, 2-time author. He's in the Newfoundland Hall of Fame and just finished filming season 4 of Shoresy. Terry Ryan joins us. TR, how are you?
I'm all right, and I was just I'm going to be in an episode of Mrs. Downstairs, and that is...
What is that?
That's the baby of Mary Walsh. Mary Walsh is a legendary actor from Newfoundland.
Yes.
Been in lots of things. She's one of the girls that started, one of the people that started This Hour is 22 Minutes.
Yes.
Was on that for years. Been in The Divine Ryans and every Newfoundland production there's been, basically. And... so I did a little cameo in one of her vehicles called Mrs. Downstairs this week. That was fun.
Ooh. What character were you?
In this one, I played my side. So I was in that, and then I was also in Hudson and Rex as I was in there again in Hudson and Rex. So I've been in there a few times. This time I can't really get too much into what my character is. An ex-police officer. But in Mrs. Downstairs, I played myself. Yeah, and it was a lot of fun. An exaggerated
yourself. So do you have to do any preparation when you play yourself? Do you remember who you are?
Totally. Yeah. In this particular world, Mrs. Downstairs is a character, right? Without getting into it, it's just a Newfoundland classic Mary Walsh character. And she's sarcastic and demanding, but she's a likable kind of misfit kind of thing. I'm really being loose with this explanation, but that's it. So in this world, I'm doing a TV commercial as Terry Ryan, who just played for the Growlers. I got my Growlers stuff on.
Yeah.
And basically I've cut a deal with her behind the scenes for that can help both of us. So it's a bit tongue in cheek, but it's definitely, especially you always have to prepare, and the lines and all that, the way I delivered them, because it's me, but it's kind of an exaggerated version, right? So depending on the situation, there's different ways to deliver it. So we did it like 10, 12 different ways, and they'll pick one.
All right. Busy night in the National Hockey League. There's a boatload of games. All 32 teams are in action. The Oilers come home, Terry, and their power play right now is horrible. at 6.7%. They've gone 4 games. The last 11, they don't have a goal. They scored 1 power play goal. Came way back against the Chicago, and that's it. So when BB guy is on a lot of power plays. Now this power play has been very good, and we can keep saying, well, it's eventually going to get going, but it doesn't just naturally happen. Like, you got to work to get it going. When you watch the Oilers power play, what do you think has them so out of sync thus far?
Well, I hate to bring up what you've already said, and which might be obvious, that eventually they'll come out of it. I think they're shooting not even 7%, right? So there's times that I think I really do think that is part of the answer, is that it's just going to get better. Outside of that, what do you think they're doing differently? They're getting the shots. It's not, but sometimes from what I've seen, which is, I don't know the analytics behind this, but they're not getting the zone very smoothly. It seems to me that a few times, but they're just silly turnovers. You can go back to the first game. I think it was Bouchard gave one away. They've had a few shorthanded chances against them, but again, this is just thinking cap stuff. This is just being ready. So as far as system, I don't know. Are they doing anything different? To me, I really do. I do think that it'll just get better, because it's been consistent for so long, and you're using the same people, and their shooting percentage is way down where it normally would be.
Well, yeah, the shooting percentage is non-existent. The thing about their power play is they haven't been able to grab any sort of momentum building power play shifts where, you know what? Oh, here's a good chance. Oh, geez, there's another good chance. Oh, they're moving it around. They're wheeling and dealing. They've had none of that. They barely can string together 3 good passes on their power play right now.
So maybe it is time. Like I said, there's one level that says, each year they might get in a slump, but for 2 or 3 years, I think it's been the best or close to in the league. And 1 year was record setting. Now, the one side of that says they'll come out of it, but the other side, maybe other teams, you obviously you do what you can to offset that. So do you notice anything different? Are people playing them differently? It's going to be tough on the power play. But for example, Draisaitl usually gets a lot more chances from that goal line, where he's like kind of a threat when, from a really poor angle, and from there, if he doesn't get the shot, he's making the pass. I don't see that open. Do you think teams are overplaying that? Do you think they're just not shooting it when they can? What do you think?
Well, honestly, I don't. I think they've been way too static. They're not moving with the same flair, and more importantly, they're missing the net on some of their best chances. So, but even their best chances aren't coming from great opportunities. So, right now. And the other thing is they really haven't incorporated Hyman in the power play yet. He was, the last few years, he's down there in goals. He's getting lots of shots. So Draisaitl's always the number 1 shooter, as he should be. I get why. Until they can continually stop him for more than 6 games and more than 11 power plays, he's still my shooter. It makes sense. Yeah. But I don't think they've done enough. I think early on, teams have been able to limit their ability to enter the zone cleanly. And I think that they're kind of wasting time, because they've actually won a fair amount of faceoffs. So they're getting possession on the draws, but it's not leading to much. So I know that a few years ago they had it where they wanted to get a shot in the first 7 seconds on the power play. They really haven't done that. So there's some fundamental things that they want to tweak. And right now, You're an offensive player, Terry. Right now, to me, I find there's a little, just not a lot, but a slight hesitation in when they're shooting and passing. And that's the difference of guys getting open for looks and then suddenly a stick getting in the lane and you're not taking the shot.
And when you're confident and you got the momentum, you don't even think about that.
Exactly.
Right? It goes into the subconscious. When you're pressing, it's conscious. And that's just completely different. Ask anybody that, getting in the zone, getting the momentum. I mean, getting in the zone in your mind. The other thing, how the second unit, how much time have the second unit been logging good minutes or no? Because when it comes to this, I always find maybe shake up I'm not saying sit anybody. I saw Draisaitl got benched for a couple of shifts, but I'm not saying that. But I'm saying maybe shorten it a little bit, get a different, fresh perspective out there, and who knows? Again. I'll use Leafs because it's Canada and there's a lot of Leafs fans everywhere and I can relate to it. So a guy like Matthew Nyes, traditionally, you just put Tavares there every single time because he's better at doing what he does on the power play. But, they're mixing it up a little bit. And a guy like that is no better than a Matthews, a Marner, or Tavares, obviously. But it's just a fresh perspective. And, sometimes you need that, a little bit more of that to get the other guys going.
Yeah, I'm going to get, well, they haven't done it yet. And when I look at the Oilers at their power play numbers, I think you might see the second unit. Like if you wanted to shake it up, you could start the second unit just once.
Yeah.
A little healthy competition isn't the end of the world. So that's something I could see them consider, but I don't see them like taking a guy off just yet. I think that would come later. But first, I think they would try to have some internal competition and just see, okay, how are these guys going to handle with suddenly? Because if you look at it, Bouchard's been out there. They're all out there for 23 minutes. And then the second unit's been out there for basically 5 minutes. So you know what? They're not getting a lot of time on there. I got the sense though that they want the first unit to get out of their funk. So the way to get them out of their funk right now is they plan on playing them a lot. So they're going to give them rope. Maybe once they start scoring, it sounds odd, but they might give the second chance more. I think that's their plan for this week, Terry. They had some practices this week. They're going to have more because they don't play again until Friday. And then I think they hope that in itself, just more touches and some reps in practice will help them get out of their funk. But if not, I could see like if tonight it looks completely inept again, and you've got 2 more days of practice, although they might have a day off here on Thursday possibly. But if they don't, if they have 2 more days of practice, then I would look at maybe tweaking something for the Pittsburgh game.
Exactly. And look, I know fans don't want to hear this, but it's still early. It really is, right? It's just been 6 games, I think they have played, right? 60 minutes per. There's only so much time out there. I mean, and coming off a frustrating exhibition, playing so late, I think this is just normal stuff for a team like the Oilers who has such big expectations, who went so long deep into the playoffs. And I always say, I know 10 games is only 4 games away, but I'd rather reevaluate after 10. If they weren't getting the shots and they weren't in their primes, and there's just a lot of reasons for me not to doubt them so far. I mean, the law of averages, if nothing else, says that shooting percentage, especially on the power play, we're getting good shots and top-notch rebounds, it's going to elevate past 6% or whatever it is. It has to.
Well, yeah, obviously, I think it would have to. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Dave McCarthy will join us on a busy Tuesday in the National Hockey League. We're also going to talk a little bit about Darnell Nurse. I want you to listen to what Darnell Nurse has to say. It's coming up in 20 minutes. I think Oiler fans, you're going to quite like it. That's coming up in 20 minutes with Darnell Nurse. Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility, available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine. You can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Weather forecast? Ugh. Savings forecast? Cha-ching. Save up to $225 on a set of 4 select tires, plus a bonus $50 off any service of $150 at Fountain Tire until December 14th. Restrictions apply. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
Oodle Noodle Origins. In 1864, Francis Oodle took over his dying father's business as a leatherman. He was quite proficient, but his heart was never truly in the trade. After his father's death, Oodle met a cocksure young man named Vladimir Nudel, who was a trailblazer in the popular new art of food boxes. They formed a partnership and aimed to ply their trade in the new world. At Ellis Island, Nudel was renamed David Noodle, and henceforth, the franchise has been known as Oodle Noodle.
Albertans celebrate a bounty of beautiful places to visit, boundless adventures to take, all in driving distance. And Sherwood Honda has the fuel-efficient vehicle that helps you go even farther and appreciate more. Hybrid CRVs and Civics mean more thanks in your tanks, more great trips to be grateful for. And of course, Sherwood Honda is thankful for the chance to help you get there. It's a beautiful time of year, and it sure would be nice to hit the road with Sherwood Honda.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Raise a smoothie to any friend you've had since 1999. That's a good friend. And Booster Juice was there. Now celebrating 25 years in Canada and more than 450 locations from coast to coast. A silver anniversary splashed with lots of oranges. Celebrate 25 years of Booster Juice with the return of OG favorite smoothies like the original, the Orangesicle, and the Marathon. Made with cranberries, bananas, strawberries, orange sorbet, and probiotic yogurt. Happy 25th Booster Juice. Download the Booster Rewards app today.
Segments like
that. Low rates, no strings attached, year-round perks, and local energy experts who always have your back. With Encore by Epcor, find that carefree energy feeling at encore.epcor.com/carefree.
Customers are free to purchase natural gas or electricity services from a retailer of their choice. For a list of retailers, visit ucahelps.alberta.ca or call 310-4822 toll-free.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. The team at Old Strathcona has special training dedicated to reducing the impact of cancer care before, during, and after your diagnosis. From lymphedema to the management of fatigue and side effects of chemotherapy and radiation, they can help. Learn more at leadingedgephysio.com.
Pro sports, local sports, minor leagues, you got it all. It's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.324, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. Welcome back to the show. Hope you're doing awesome. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, as Terry Ryan is with us. And now we're going to get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by Silent Rides Charter Company, one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches that safely take you or your group to your next destination. Book your ride at silentrides.ca as Dave McCarthy from Sirius XM joins us once again. Davey, how you doing, my man?
Oh, I'm good, boys. What's going on?
I can't believe you're wearing a long sleeve shirt. I thought it was like 23 degrees in there in your parts today.
Yeah, it is. But like the way I look at warmth at this time of the year, fellas, is you get, at least in my part of Etobicoke, you get 3 hours from like 12:30 to 3:30. Then the sun starts to go down. And even if it's warm out, there's an element of dampness that seeps into the air. So like it's not 23 like it is in July. It's 23 in October. So there's a bit of dampness. You got to wear the long sleeves, and it looks fallish, right? You can see the blue pumpkin over my my left shoulder there.
Oh yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Do you carve a lot of pumpkins for Halloween?
No, I'm not a big carving guy, to be honest with you. I just let the pumpkin speak for itself. Like if you buy an ordinary orange pumpkin, you might need to enhance that a little bit. But like that is an artisanal gourd back there. Okay, that's rare stuff. So it speaks for itself. It doesn't require carving.
How about the Halloween stuff? Do you get right into it? Do you be watching scary movies like Halloween every night, Freddy?
No. I tolerate Halloween, Terry. It's not honestly my favorite holiday at all. So a few pumpkins, the odd ghost, a scarecrow, that's it.
You respect
Christmas,
the day, but other than that, you ain't going out of your way for anybody.
No, I'm not. Christmas is when it really gets rolling here on the estate.
Okay. Fair.
Mm-hmm.
Davey, let's get to a few things in the NHL. I guess let's start with the teams at the top. I want to start. Everybody always wants to start with the negative. We're not doing that. We're going to start with the positive. And so you look at some of the teams off to great starts. The Devils, the Winnipeg Jets are 5-0. They've only allowed 8 goals in 5 games. Now Dallas has only allowed 9 in 6, so they're pretty darn good themselves as well. But the Jets and the Stars, like they've already got a 10-point lead.
Yeah.
On Nashville, right? And they're 6 up on Colorado, and in a race where there's lots of teams for home ice, that's vastly I think important for those two teams specifically.
Yeah, it is. I mean, if you look at it in baseball terms, the Jets are 5 games up on the Predators at this point. 5 games, a lot of games to make up. Like it really, really is. So you want to be able to build points up early in the year because it allows you, if you hit the skids around Christmas time for a couple of weeks, to not get caught by the pack. If you go 1-3-1 over 5 games, 3-6-1 over 10, you're probably not going to get caught just because it's so difficult to climb out of a hole as large as 8, 9, 10 points. Because the way I always say it, if you're 10 points back, if you go 5-0, you pick up 10 points. But if the team you're trying to catch goes 5-5, or sorry, that's not fun. I shouldn't say that. That's not fair. Goes 3-2. That's still 6 points. So you've only gained 4. So you think you've played well over a 2-week span. You've gained 4 points, and you still can't see them with a telescope. So that's why it's good to build up a cushion early on. And look, I talked to Cole Perfetti in the summertime, asked him how he felt about how last season went. And he said, like, there's a lot of guys on our group right now that are embarrassed how we played in the playoffs. They had a great season, right? They were really defensively proficient. And then playoff time rolled around, and it was just like, what the hell happened? And so they've got a group of guys now that I think have an understanding that collectively as a group, this is probably their last shot. Like if they don't get it done, Ehlers is out the door. And they're looking to make other changes outside of probably a Scheifele and a Hellebuck. So they're committed, and they've shown me at the beginning of the year that what he said in the summer to me is true, and they're taking it seriously. So they're back to being the Jets of the regular season, like we saw last year. Question is, will they be able to continue it in the playoffs? That will be the question. We won't know that until April. I talked to Jim Nill actually as well last night. I said, yeah, pretty good start, for your group. And he said, well, yeah, not bad. He's like, Jake has been playing out of his mind. And that's covered over some issues. So they're reasonably comfortable with how they've started in Dallas. According to what Jim Nill told me, but he still thinks there's a lot more there for his team to get to, like a much higher ceiling than what they've showed. And I think if you're a Stars fan, that's got to be encouraging. And I tend to agree with him. I love everything about that Dallas Stars team. I think they are going to be a real problem for the Western Conference this year.
TR?
Davey, I'm going to move it over to the Leafs for a minute. I think Stollarts has been great. It's been early. Of course, it is early. All these question marks around Wall. At what point, or even now, do you think it might be premature, but do you think he's the undisputed number one?
Stolarz?
Yeah.
He should be. He should be at this point. The way he's played since Joe Woll's been out of the lineup at the beginning of the year, to me, has been enough to say to Joe Woll, okay, when you're ready to play, that's great, but don't expect like you're going to be getting the bulk of the starts now just because you're at a point where you're ready to play. This is not Jake Ottinger coming back into the fold, Sergei Bobrovsky, whoever it might be, somebody of that ilk. This is a guy who still needs to prove himself. And I'm just seeing right now that Craig Berube says today, he just spoke a moment ago, Dennis Hildeby will start against Columbus tonight. There was some thought that Woll might be able to return. The coach himself on Monday said possibly when asked if Woll would be able to play tonight. He had practiced in full on Friday, was a participant in the morning skate on Monday, not playing tonight. So, I don't know at this point. Like I love Joe Woll. He's a wonderful guy. I love talking to him. Smart guy. He's kind. Like I just love everything about the guy. But you can't rely on him. Like he's, you practice. Okay, how you feeling? You feeling good? Yep, feeling good. Feel like I'm making progress. Great. Yep. Can you play tomorrow? I don't know. Like so, you can't rely on that. And the way Stolarz has played, guy's been unbelievable. Leafs could be undefeated, really. At this point in the year, should have beat Montreal. They lost 1-0. Monabo was out of his mind, and Igor Shesterkin was out of his mind on Saturday. But Stolarz was very, very good. So yeah, like I tweeted last night, and it blew up, that if you're the Leafs, you should be moving forward now under the assumption that Anthony Stolarz is your starting goaltender. And when you need someone else to play, if Joe Woll is available, you give him a start. But Anthony Stolarz should be carrying the bulk of the work right now because he's been that good. He's given the Leafs a chance to win every single night this year.
Speaking of, you said the Leafs, with any luck, they would be undefeated. There's been a few teams that have overachieved. I'm not saying the Leafs are one of them. It was kind of expected that they get off to a decent start. I don't know, Utah, Calgary, and equally the other way around. You mentioned Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any surprises one way or the other? Like what stands out to you the most, and who's sitting pretty and who's bottom dwellers?
Yeah, like I wasn't expecting Calgary to get off to the start that they did. They've got some veteran guys on that team. They should be better than a bottom feeder. Like you shouldn't be paying Jonathan Huberdeau 10+ and Nazem Kadri 7, and be in a battle for last place in the league. Like you should be kind of in the mix. I don't think they'll hold at that spot, but they've impressed me in the early going. We'll see what they do tonight. Utah, they're a team where, in talking to Billy Armstrong, I remember last summer, not this summer, last summer, he told me we want to start to play some meaningful games down the stretch. And it was unfortunate how the news broke last year. They kind of got sewered by that report that, are they going to move? And understandably, remember, I don't have to tell you guys, but sometimes, listeners forget the players are people, right? Who have lives outside of the guys in the hockey equipment that you see on the television. And when you might have to pick up and move your life to a different city, that'll throw you off a little bit. And it did last year. But other than that 13-game stretch, Arizona was right there. And they went out, they brought in some guys in the offseason, Mikhail Sergachev. So they're at a point now where they want to take a step forward and be in the mix. Maybe not a guarantee to make the playoffs, but certainly in the mix. And, I think we've seen that here in the early going. Dylan Guenther, Barrett Hayton, Clayton Keller, Logan Cooley. Keller may be a little bit of an older young guy, if you will, but all of those guys are playing really well. Their goaltending has been reliable enough, but they still give up a lot of goals for me. They got to try and rein that in. Sean Durzee's a huge loss. But they look to me to be a team that should be battling for a playoff spot. Nashville, end on this. I'll 0-5 is 0-5, right? Like, and then we talked about it. We dug themselves a hole, and before you know it, the pack starts to get too far ahead. They better turn it around in a hurry, because if they have another bad week, that might be curtains. Because I don't think Nashville, you and I, Jason, talked about it on the brunch on Sunday. I agree with you. Oh, well, they just do what the Oilers did last year. Well, no, they're probably not going to win 16 games in a row like Edmonton did. They're not that good a team. So they better start to figure it out soon. Otherwise, might be curtains for Nashville.
Quickly, Florida announces today that Paul Maurice has signed an extension with them. Obviously, you know what? Makes a lot of sense. I can understand why. I look at Florida's back end, and you know what? Obviously, they lost Montour. They lost Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who might have been their best defenseman in the playoffs last year. It's probably maybe not talked about enough how well he played.
Might be the Leafs' best defenseman so far this year.
Yeah, no, he's been great. You look at the Panthers D, you look at their salary cap. They got Aaron Ekblad, who's up at the end of the year. They got Sam Bennett. They've signed some guys long-term that are a little bit longer in the tooth. What do you make of Florida's ability to really push for a cup again this season? Do you think they're there? Do you think that Bill Zito's going to throw, maybe more chips in, knowing that he's going to lose even more guys to free agency this summer?
Yeah, like fine now. As I always caution people, the team that you have in October, November, and December is not necessarily the team you'll have game one of the playoffs. It's the team that needs to get you to the trade deadline in a position to add. So they're fine now. But I agree with you, Jason. I look at that blue line, and as the great Lieutenant Columbo once said in Columbo, needs work. Needs work. So I would expect them to go out at the trade deadline and acquire a rental piece. And I don't see why Bill Zito would be adverse to doing that. This is absolutely a team that has a chance to contend again for a Stanley Cup if they can plug a few holes down the stretch. Probably need another depth forward or two, I would think as well. But if they can get a depth forward, and those guys are not hard to get at the deadline, got like a Brandon Tanev, if Seattle kind of falls out of the equation, like he's a guy that's an unrestricted free agent that would garner, I think, a lot of attention. Probably won't have to pay a ton for Brand. Like, I think he'd look good on the Leafs, to be quite honest with you, with his brother, if that works out. But he's a guy that I could see fitting in on a team like a Florida that has a chance. So you go out, you get a guy like a Brandon Tanev, another depth forward, and a 3-4-5 type D. Like, why can't that Florida team win again? I think they're really good. As it stands right now, they play a good system. They've got their core still there. They've got great goaltending. Yeah, I'm not writing Florida off at all in terms of contending for another Stanley Cup. I think they're really good still.
And lastly, Davey, on a scale of 1 to 10, how concerned should Oiler fans be? Is it like a 2, 5? Is it a 7? What do you think?
Yeah, I look at where Edmonton is in the standings. You look at the teams ahead of them, like they're finishing ahead of Anaheim. I'm not worried that they're not going to be able to catch Anaheim. They're 4 points behind Seattle, 4 points behind LA. Like, I don't think LA is sustainable this year for that start. I don't think they're going to be able to score nearly enough. The fact that Drew Doughty is not there is going to catch up to them in the next couple of months before he gets back. Their blue line is not impressive at all to me. I'm not thrilled about their net minding either. So, I look at the teams that are ahead of them, and I don't see them as teams that are impenetrable to be caught. And I also don't see Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and Zach Hyman going in a 40-game slump. Again, I know we talked about it the other day, but I think for a lot of people, you just can't compute McDavid being in a slump because it's never happened before in his NHL career.
Yeah.
By the end of the year, he's going to be up around 95, 100 points. Like, he's going to figure it out. So out of 10 concern level, I'd say like honestly, like 3. I'm not concerned about Edmonton right now. So, we'll see. I was more concerned about them last year, and they proved me wrong. So I'm I'm not particularly concerned about them this year. I think those guys are just too good to be held in check for much longer.
Davey, have a great day. Enjoy the heat wave, and we'll chat with you on Sunday.
Did it snow in Edmonton today, Jason?
No, not in Edmonton, I don't think. There was some snow. I saw a truck, actually. I left work yesterday, and I'm like, this guy's obviously coming from out of town. His whole back of his truck was all like inch of snow. I think there was a few inches out by Fort McMurray, so he must have drove in. But the weather, obviously, it didn't melt on his. It was under 0 yesterday for a bit, and even this morning. So, but no, if there was snow in Edmonton, it's maybe only in certain parts. Good. And only skiffs, but none of it's
12 and sunny over here, boys. Great day for a hike.
In St. John's, Newfoundland.
You got it, man.
Yeah, great day. Oh yeah. Well, it's a balmy. Well, I think we're like 3 or 4 degrees now. So
I got my Jason Gregor deep watering in on the estate today as well.
There you go, buddy. Water those shrubs and trees. And remember, everybody in Edmonton, we had a few people texting saying thank you because some forgot to undo their hose. That's just a problem. It's never good. You don't want it. It's not that cold. You probably got away with it, but it gets too cold. It can be a problem.
Let's not roll that dice.
Yeah, have a good one. That's Dave McCarthy from Sirius XM. When we return, we'll get Ryan's rant. We also have Darnell Nurse on a topic that Oiler fans, I think you're going to like the response. Coming up next, Jason Gregor, Terry Ryan, Connor Halley with you on Sports 1440 Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk. Elevate your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
You've probably heard the term supply and demand. Something is needed and someone supplies it. We're GS Construction, and we're in the supply and demand business with you. Edmonton and the surrounding area continue to grow. Infrastructure has to be continually replaced and upgraded to keep up with demand. You see it with new buildings and new roads, but what about below ground, where all sorts of pipes bring you water and take wastewater away? That's where we come in. For more on what we do, go to gsconstruction.ca.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's Aquacentral reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade: safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility, available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine, you can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV, and we have hundreds of RVs to show you. Now, fall is not the traditional time to buy an RV, but here's a pro tip. Every used RV is a one-of-a-kind, and one of them perfect for you. But you never know when you're going to find it.
Especially if you have a lot of wants to go somewhere else.
Deal breakers on your wish list. That's right, Bob. Right? Used RV buyers are picky, looking for just the right one. I'm not saying the RVs on our lot now are any better than the ones we'll have in the spring. True. They're not, but they are different. The ones on our lot today will be gone by spring.
Be a shame if the perfect one got away.
That's what I'm getting at, Bob. If you find one you like, put a ring on it. No Bull makes it ridiculously easy because we'll pay for winterization, storage, and get it all ready for you next year. All you need to do is show up in the spring and it'll be ready for your first adventure. Couldn't be easy.
And that's No Bull.
NobleRV.ca.
Oh, you got to always. So difficult. I don't have anything to add, so I'll come with some layman fun.
Portions of this hour brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers. The Canada-wide clearance is on now at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on a 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Elevation. See more at gmcoffers.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.346, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook. Terry Ryan joins us on a Tuesday afternoon, busy day in the National Hockey League. All 32 teams are in action, 16 games. First one will get going in about 20 minutes time, and the last one will see the puck dropped at 9 o'clock Edmonton time. So you, if you're a hockey fan, you're going to have an overload of games and highlights to watch tonight. The one that many of you will be focusing on, of course, is the Edmonton Oilers taking on the Carolina Hurricanes. And TR, it's early on in the season, and definitely the last 3-4 games, like the Oilers' defensive zone coverage has been fine. They're not scoring many goals. The Duchesne goal is the one goal. Like, I looked at Nashville, there wasn't a bad goal. The Philadelphia game, there wasn't a bad goal. There's the one Duchesne goal that's been bad. So I don't even know if the goaltending's been an issue for the last 3 games here for Edmonton. The power play has been awful the entire time. That's not even there's no arguing on that. They haven't scored a power play goal since the Chicago game. They only have one all year long. But one guy who I think, and we'll get his thoughts on it in a second, but give me your thoughts on Darnell Nurse's, I would say, more aggressively engaged style that he's played thus far this season.
Well, it seems that, Nurse last year faced a lot of adversity from outside. Some of it was earned, some of it not. But it seems to me that they're working more closely with him. Isn't he making the move now to right D, I believe? Like he's going to try that, playing his offside.
No, I don't really believe that.
I've been reading a lot about it.
Yeah, I know, but I think people are jumping the gun. I talked to Darnell. So he said he goes, when he plays with Dermott, they found, because they're both lefties, at times both of them were playing the right, like not at the same time, but one shift, the guy would be right, the other guy, based on, if you change on the fly and stuff. So he just was taking more reps in practice because there's different angles and stuff. But still, when the game starts, Darnell Nurse, I'd be stunned if he's not the left defenseman and Dermott's the right one. But you might see the odd shift or half a shift where he's playing the right side. So he's just doing it in practice because there's more of a likelihood playing with Dermott that he'd find himself over there compared to if he plays with a natural right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and usually those players, Darnell Nurse has a real, I think, sense of a pride as a person and a player and a leader, and he knows what's expected of him. And I think when he doesn't deliver, it affects him mentally. He wants to be the best teammate he can be. So I'm reading between the lines here, but I think that he's really trying to improve the smaller parts of the game that he can improve. I mean, really, like I said, often with Darnell Nurse, it's mental. It's a poor decision. Of course, there are parts of the game that obviously anybody can always try to improve on. Remember last year at the beginning of the year, it was the same sort of, it was the same sort of start for the Oilers. But I remember him, to say, jumping up to make it a 4. I remember towards the beginning of last year. I mean, I'm not asking everybody to remember this, but I remember Darnell, he jumped up in the play for no reason. And the puck just came around. They had a 2-on-1 the other way, and they scored. It seemed too easy. I think he's just working at bearing down, because when a guy like that plays mean, not that he plays soft, but when he really does and really concentrates on his own end, I think that's where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. He's underrated offensively. I still think that, but it's going to cap out at a certain point. He can really always do a better job in his own end, and I think he's paying attention to doing that. And as far as earlier when you were talking about the Oilers and not a lot of it is scoring, they're really not picking up on the momentum. They create momentum. The beginning of the game against Dallas, I believe it was 9 or 10-0, shot 16-2. Or, like, they were all over Dallas. They couldn't find a way to build on that momentum. And even a couple of times you talk about their penalty kill, or their power play getting stifled, but a few times, they'll have the penalty kill and they'll, the other team won't get a shot. And usually you pick up on that momentum somehow. And then they'll go and they'll be buzzing. They'll be all around the net, but nothing happens. And what happens, usually the result of that is a team like Dallas. You can see it happening against the bottom feeder, but Dallas aren't going to play like that. They're going to make some corrections mid-game, and then you've lost your opportunity to pick up on that momentum and to build off something, that's not going to be easy the rest of the game. They had to work a lot harder for their chances in the second part of that game than the first. And a team like Dallas is going to make you do that every time. So, again, we asked Dave, it's like a 2 out of 10 as far as a worry, because I think it's going to correct itself. But so far, they're as they say in the junior ranks, is the first time I heard it, all Swedish, no finish. They're getting in there, right? And these guys are ultra talented. They're just not finding a way to pick up on the momentum.
Now, and that's fair. I totally agree that the momentum's one where, you got to find a way. Hey, if you want your goalie to not allow a weak goal, then you need your forwards to score in the chances they should score in. And so far they haven't done that. But going back to Nurse, I asked him flat out if does he play better? Because from my vantage point, Darnell Nurse has been way more engaged in scrums, physical play. Obviously, we saw a fight early on in the year, and I feel he's playing better because of it. So I asked him, does he feel he plays better when he's more physically engaged and maybe playing a meaner style?
Oh, 100%. Way more effective, I think. Being physical. That also brings out the skating element in my game because you want to close down things quick. You want to be in people's faces. And I think, it's probably an area of my game that probably wasn't happy with over the last year and a bit. That, I probably didn't bring that element enough. And then this season, it's definitely something that I want to bring and try to bring on a nightly basis.
I love what he said at the end. For being honest, last year, I didn't bring that element on my game enough. And we talked about it. Darnell Nurse is a big, strong guy. He's one of the best skaters in the game, one of the best skating defensemen yet. And there's the league now, when you're 6'4" and you're willing to fight and you got really long arms and you can stretch guys out. There's not many guys in the league that he's scared of at all. Right now, there's lots of guys. He doesn't need to be fighting guys who play 7 minutes a night, right? He fought McCarron, good for him. He felt like it was the right time. Hey, and it worked. So no problem. But overall, I see Nurse in scrums. The minute anyone's around, it's just, hey, you know what? That's not acceptable. And he's not taking penalties either. That's what I like about it, Terry. He's way more engaged physically, which means he's playing better. And I've said this for years. The Oilers need Darnell. When Darnell Nurse plays up to his capability, he is a difference maker and can bring a lot of elements to your game. And so far, I know it's only 6 games. I think Nurse has had a really good start to the season.
Yeah, and look, all kinds of people mix up toughness with dropping your gloves. And a guy like that, sometimes that's part of it, right? Sometimes it overlaps, and that is having to be tough. But there are guys that thrive a lot of people go, everybody got to be tougher, and some people don't. I don't know. A guy like Zach Hyman doesn't fight much, but he's way, way better when he's engaged in front of the net cause. Corey Perry, now I know he fights and he fought the other night and he's a team player, but if Perry's not even fighting, it's that whole, that pest factor, and you don't have to go too far into the pest element to play tough, but you don't have to drop your gloves every time either. It's just playing. Certain guys are the opposite. I don't know. Jonathan Huberdeau, Austin Matthews. I don't know. Really, do they need to get maybe so? But I really see Nurse, Perry, Hyman. These guys get engaged and not always in front of the net, in the corner after the whistle. And it doesn't have to be a sucker punch. It doesn't have to be a suspension, but just let you know I'm there. I'm going to play hard against you. There's ways to do that. There's so many times in a game. There's so many stoppages of plays. Sometimes it's just looking someone in the eye. Honestly, it really is. I don't want to give examples, but when I played, I picked up on that, and I had a lot of leaders along the way point that out. So off the start of the game, I don't recall just wanting to fight and just go all my chips in immediately. But I remember like ways, like looking in someone's eye, putting my skate over on his side of the ice. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Just look at him and not even just shake your head a little bit. Yeah, I'm ready to play here, right? And then he puts his stick down. You put yours over his. I'm not taking a penalty, but you're not going to push me around, and this is going to be hard on you. And it just becomes a mindset for you, but also for everybody you're playing against. And in Nurse's case, in my case, it was like, hopefully in the third period, I'll get that extra little bit of time in front of the net, man, fraction of a second. For a guy like Nurse, at the end of the game, trying to get the puck out, maybe someone's not so quick to lean on you, and it all adds to the game. But for a guy like that overall toughness package, you can do that by just your mannerisms, that extra little jolt after the whistle. There's ways to do it. Get your glove in somebody's face. But for me, I'm a player that I didn't like to be intimidated, but I'd be lying to you if I said if a guy like Nurse played like that, I knew my job would be harder. I wouldn't let anybody see it, but I would definitely be thinking about it in the room. And I think any normal-minded player is similar.
Yeah, like you look at a team like Carolina tonight. They have very little physical toughness. They play hard as a group, right? They'll come at you in waves, but they're not a physical team. And tonight's a game where, you're Darnell Nurse, and as you become more experienced, you know what you can get away with. You know where that line is not to cross in a scrum, or maybe you can get a little jab in here or there, right? After a Seth Jarvis or an Aho or et cetera. Like, that Carrier and Martinook are and Stahl, that's their one line that, physical guys who won't back down. But other than that, none of their other forwards really have that in their game. Their defensemen, Brent Burns is a huge man, right? He can hold his own, but not overly physical, right?
Nah, he's reactionary.
Defender, right? Walker, the Ghost, Orlov, Chatfield, they don't really have it. And so, Edmonton doesn't have a boatload of it either. But I watched Corey Perry and Pod Colson. I look at them up front tonight. I thought Colson had his best game as an Oiler in Dallas. Really used his speed, went to the net. And now he didn't get rewarded with goals, but he created some chances. And they actually get rewarded. They're going to move up to the third line tonight with Henrique, with Perry and Pod Colson. And I just look at that. I think Carolina is a team where you can go after those guys a little bit more and not have to look over your shoulder.
Yeah. And you need to take advantage of that, especially when you've got a well-rounded team like the Oilers that does have that little bit of depth. A lot of depth, but especially when it comes to those tough players. Like, we're not even like Kane is going to come back at some point, right? And I'm pretty much describing his game as well. He's way, way, way better when he's physically engaged. He doesn't have to take penalties. Just have to go to those areas. Some players, speaking of Dallas earlier, Joe Pavelski isn't necessarily, I don't really consider him a tough guy or tough play, but he goes to those areas and he's way better when he's engaged like that. And I think what we're explaining, just for a lot of players in a game like hockey, like we talked about momentum, it doesn't always just happen off a goal. For some players, it does. Some exceptional players, it doesn't always happen off an assist or even a hit or a fight. It's a series of plays during the game. What can I do to stand out? I used to say to myself, like, what am I here for? We can all work on this and we can all work on that. But what makes me the best me? And usually if you answer that question as a player, you're going to start picking up the pieces in the right direction. And I think a guy like Nurse, we're just seeing him be him. These aren't, and I agree with you. I think he's playing way more sound defensively. I like his game. He's playing tough. He looks confident, right? When a guy like that he doesn't need a goal or an assist. He just needs a big play, and he's got a good enough team around him. That confidence, that swagger. The only way I ever had confidence and swagger is if I played a physical game. Maybe I get a point or two, but I knew in my mind when I was playing well whether the points came or not. And really, it just came down to, what do I have to do? I used to look in the mirror. What do you have to do to be the best player? Now we're in Prince Albert. Obviously, you don't have to go out and fight, but I have to go in the corner. I have to go and take every hit. I have to be there first. I have to take the pass to make the play, because that's what TR does, and that's what TR got to do. And, a guy like Nurse, for me, just seems like he's doing exactly that. He's excelling at the very things that he needs to excel at to be the player that's worth the money that he signed for.
It's after 4 o'clock. We got a lot of texts coming in on the Darnell Nurse. We'll play that again a little bit later on if you missed it. But let's get to the comment. Sports 1440 update brought to you by Fountain Tire. And did you know that they make your seasonal tire change hassle-free by offering a convenient tire storage service? When you switch your winter tires to your winter tires, they'll store your summer ones. Go to fountaintire.com, find the location nearest you. No more story. They'll do it for you. Fountain Tire.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
It's a busy day in the NHL. Every team in action. The Oilers taking on the Carolina Hurricanes. Puck drop just after 7 o'clock down at Rogers Place. We've got pregame coverage for you, getting going at 6 with Andrew Walker and Donovan Paulson. Elsewhere, Flames host the Penguins, the Sharks in Anaheim. Golden Knights taking on the Kings. You got the Kraken and the Avs. The Blackhawks hosting the Canucks. The Blues taking on the Jets. Maple Leafs in Columbus. Canadians host the Rangers. And the Lightning taking on the Devils. Some news off the ice. Paul Maurice will be sticking around with the Florida Panthers if the two sides reached a contract extension. And Toronto Maple Leafs defenseman Oliver Ekman-Larsson fined $5,000 for interference on Lightning forward Jake Gensel on Monday night. That's the maximum allowable under the collective bargaining agreement. In the NBA tonight, it's all getting going, kicking off this season. Defending champ Boston Celtics hosting the New York Knicks. That gets going at 5:30. Then at 8 o'clock, the Timberwolves in Los Angeles to take on the Lakers. And from the NFL, the LA Rams have opened up the 21-day practice window for wideout Puka Nacua. He sprained his PCL in week 1 and has missed the last 5 games. Also, the team reportedly willing to part ways with star wide receiver Cooper Kupp. Rams indicating they would like to receive a second-round pick in return, and they would be open to retaining some of his 2024 salary. Coming up in Hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we will be joined by former NHLer Jason Strudwick, and we'll ask 5 questions. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Hockey is back. And Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients. Better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients. Better pizza. Papa John's. That's SPORTS20.
Weather forecast? Ugh. Savings forecast, cha-ching. Save up to $225 on a set of 4 select tires, plus a bonus $50 off any service of $150 at Fountain Tire until December 14th. Restrictions apply. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
Need a truck? Want a great deal on a truck? Get into Wolf GMC Buick. It's GMC's Canada-wide clearance. Take advantage of 0% financing on Sierra half-tons. Oh, and guess what? GMC employee pricing is back on all in-stock 2024 Sierra HDs and Yukons. That means thousands of dollars in savings on GMC Sierra 3/4 ton and 1 ton. Also thousands off the industry-leading SUV, the GMC Yukon. Get to Wolf GMC Buick now and drive away with money off and a smile on. Just off the Anthony Henday.
When it comes to your health, trust Dr. Bryce Henderson for expert care in hip and knee replacements. With years of experience and advanced techniques, Dr. Henderson helps you regain your mobility and quality of life.
Your health is my priority. Let's get you back to doing what you love.
Put your health in the hands of a trusted expert. Book your consultation with Dr. Henderson today. Visit vitalsurgicalspecialist.ca or call 587-391-7864.
Are you losing sleep over your debt?
Being hounded by collection calls? My name is Parveen Middleton, a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Edmonton. I understand this can be a stressful situation, and I'm here to help. I can put a stop to these collection calls and guide you towards your debt-free future. All it takes is one phone call. Let's discuss your debt relief options during a free consultation. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit bdodebt.ca to learn more.
Of Edmonton's
Just after 4:00, it's game day. Puck drop for the first of 16 NHL games is right around the corner. And hey, if you like some odds, go to playalberta.ca for all your NHL action. And if you do play, remember to use your game sense. Go to gamesense.ab.ca and learn how to stay within your limits. Jason Gregor, Terry Ryan, Connor Halley with you on Sports 1440. If you missed it, the quote that's gotten a lot of attention from people from Darnell Nurse. We'll play it one more time just because we had a lot of people who wanted to hear it again. Here was Nurse when I asked him just about, does he feel he's better playing physical? Because it seems like he's made a more conservative effort to do it this year.
Oh, 100%. Way more effective, I think. Being physical. It also brings out the skating element in my game because you want to close down things quick. You want to be in people's faces. And I think, it's probably an area of my game that probably wasn't happy with over the last year and a bit. That, I probably didn't bring that element enough. And then this season, it's definitely something that I want to bring and try to bring on a nightly basis.
But I think so far he has this season. It's a good start for Nurse. And obviously, it's only 6 games. Just like, other guys got to lift their play up. I think he's going to have to continue it for sure. But so far, it's been a pretty good start to the season for Darnell Nurse, and one that they need because right now they really don't have, I think, a bona fide second pair, right guy. Dermott, Stetcher, Emerson, they're going to kind of rotate in and just kind of fill the gap until they acquire one. And so it's going to be up to Nurse to kind of carry that pairing. And I think he has. I think Nurse has been one of the Oilers' best defensemen all season long this year. Him and Ekholm for sure. Brett Kulak also has had a really good start to the season. Now, let's get to Ryan's Rant, TR's Tales, brought to you by Action Electrical, residential solar, commercial solar. You need electrical preventative maintenance on your electrical or on your commercial buildings, whether it's infrared testing, energized and de-energized testing. Well, go to actionelectrical.net. They are the most diversified electrical contractor in Alberta. Check it out. Here is TR.
Thank you. So sometimes I get mixed up. I come on here and I got my podcast and I can't remember which stories I've told and which ones I haven't. And I was at an event last weekend, Easter Seals in Sudbury. We raised almost $500,000 for Easter Seals, kids with disabilities. So it was an awesome time. But I ran into some people there from Red Deer. They always come from all over, right? Like wherever there's a lot of Sudbury is one of those stops, even though I'm there a lot. There's always, it's a bit of a melting pot that people don't realize. I guess there's a lot of work there. So there's people from all over, lots of Newfoundlanders, lots of Albertans. So we got talking about Red Deer and they said, they listen to this show too. And they said, you should tell the story about doing the hot stick. So I'll tell you, I'll sum this up as best I can. Now
that you talk the hot stick, are you talking like the Ovi goal celebration hot stick?
The Ovi goal celebration, okay? I'm going to tell you where that came from. And I know it's going to sound unbelievable, but as I explain the story, it will definitely make a little bit more sense.
Okay.
So now my 19-year-old year, I've often explained that I made the Habs. They knew I was going to get sent back at the deadline, but much like, say, Sam O'Reilly, you couldn't send him down to the AHL. You got to send him down to junior. I believe he's going to London, just like Easton Cowan with the Leafs, nearly made, very similar situation. Easton, I think, is a year older. Well, I was Easton Cowan's age. So ideally, and I even wanted to go to the American League because Tri-City and Junior we made our run at it, and predictably so, they ended up in close to last place. And but at the end of camp, Mario Tremblay says, we don't really want to send you back. We would send you down to the A. We can't do that. And we'd like you to be here. You might get lucky and get in a game, but practice with the guys all year. So practice I did. I did play 4 games. And,
so you spent the whole year just practicing with the Habs and played 4 games?
Up to February. Yeah, I knew I was going back to somewhere at the deadline. Now, I knew my buddy BJ Young, who'd been in Tri-City with me. We were the first and second round picks when we were 14. And BJ, I knew, would take off. He went over to Red Deer, and the year before he did take off. I believe he had 50 on the nose or close to. And so I knew I would go anywhere, so it appealed to Montreal because they had Aaron Asham there anyway. And like I said, they were planning for a while on using me, Asham, and Darcy Tucker as a third line at some point. So, and they asked me where I wanted to go, though. They said, the league better than we do. Who do you think has a chance? And it was a bunch of teams. We ended up losing to Lethbridge in 7 games. They went to the Memorial Cup and lost 6-5. And it was a lot of parity, but I knew that Red Deer were going to be okay. And I knew BJ was there. And I was coming off a concussion. That's the other thing. So they didn't want me going back and fighting all the time because, so in their minds, practicing in Montreal was good for a lot of reasons.
Yourself.
Totally. There you go. The best way, I've told this story 1,000 times, never use those words, but that's exactly what it was, protecting me from myself. So, and it was beneficial. I learned a lot up there. And I still to this day, Shane Corson, I met that year and, through ups or downs, and he's still my really good buddy. Saw him last weekend at the Easter Seals. So it was beneficial, but I remember going back and saying, okay, I'm with about 5 days left, I said, Red Deer, put the and I guess Montreal were really swaying the trade in junior. I don't remember I remember them actually saying to me, where do you want to get traded? And we'll make it happen. And the next day it did. So I chose Red Deer, went back. We had a lot of fun. Now, we went on a run. My first game there, I had a goal and 4 assists. We won in overtime against Prince Albert. I got credited with the goal, but it hit BJ and went in. It wasn't my goal, but whatever. I'm selling it. I'm going nuts. And it's been a long time since I'd actually played and been an important player on a team. It had been almost a year since Tri-Cities, right? So I was really, and I got cut from the World Junior, and I was on the team. Now I got in a fight in camp, put the place up, and it was in Montreal. And I remember going, it's good for Montreal, but bad for Team Canada. I fought Dan Cloutier and Jason Doig on the same play, got kicked out of camp. So anyway, I felt I had something to prove. And I did. Side note, in the 16 games in the regular season, I had 35 points. And in the playoffs, in 16 games, I had 18 goals, which set some kind of a record for 3 rounds. So I personally, it ended up being all right. But the reasons I'm going back was I knew I'd do okay on the ice with that team. There's a lot of great players on that team. And BJ was there, my good buddy, and Aaron Asham, right? And I ended up meeting Jesse Wallen and Lance Ward and Mike Brown and Stephen Pete, rest in peace, Devin Francon, and a bunch more that are really still my buddies to this day. Not just because I go to Alberta, but they're just real good buddies. We had a tight team. You don't always not every tight team wins the championship, right? We fought hard. And I, it's to this day, it's the reason that a lot of my roots are in Alberta. So anyway, but we would ham it up. And I remember I would I'd test the waters. I'd score a goal, never to put my team at a bad position. So if I scored to make it 2-1, I wasn't going to go down and do the pumpernickel by the bench because they might come back and it's egg in our face. But if we were up 6-2 with 2 minutes left, that's when I would go for it. So there's a couple of highlights out there, whatever it is, I'd go down and do the canoe or whatever. And we would try to one-up each other. So then dating back to Tri-City, if me or BJ was a star, we'd go out and I'll do this, you do that, coming up with celebrations. So it wasn't only after goals, it was star of the game. So BJ went out. It was Ash, BJ, myself. And Ash went out and he did something with the cowboy hat on. He used it as a prop. And at this point, it was just complete stage show. So we won 9-1 or something like that, whatever it was. And Ash does that. The BJ went out and got a bit of flack. At the time, honestly, there was nothing meant. There absolutely no harm meant, but he went out and he did the blind man. So, he put his stick over, turned his stick over, and kind of did this one. Now, again, most people laughed. Looking back, I got to tell it because that's what happened. That's part of the story. And it would probably be canceled out at this point. But whatever. He wasn't being malicious or laughing at blind people. That was just, that was it. So now I'm alone. Ash did that with the cowboy hat. He did like the Semenko, ride the stick, but with the prop. Now BJ pulls out the blind man. I'm going, I got to do something. So it was on the spot. I swear to you. I come out. So I put, now again, this is 3-star celebration. So I put the stick down and I get over it and I start doing this one. It was like, this was like a religious experience. It wasn't quick like Ovechkin did it, but now I got all the time in the world. So I do it. I'm going and
You're
start
doing this during the 3-star celebration?
Yes, during the 3-star, being the first star in this particular game, Jason. Thank you for correcting that. So first star. So I give her this one, and now I start coming, and I'm giving it like the Undertaker was popular at the time in the WWE. Yes. And the pallbearer, how they would put on. So I kind of looked up. You could barely see my eyeballs. And I looked up at something. I guess it was my spiritual awakening. I'm looking up at God, whatever you think of as God, or the hockey ghosts or whatever it is. And I'm doing that. And the fans got right into it. And they called it the hot stick immediately. So the next game, I ripped off my gloves and I did it right off the bat. So it became known as this thing. They're selling shirts, everything else. They're going to do the hot stick. Now, with no social media, and barely any games on videotape, this just became part of local folklore. Now, it's 2002, 07, 08, or 08, 09. Those are the 2 years I went back and lived in Red Deer because BJ at this point had passed away in 2006. So I went out to be a good father figure to Tyson, and it just so happens that we wake up in the morning, and I've got all kinds of Facebooks on the go. I got all kinds of messages. My phone is ringing. It's Jeff Merrick from CBC at the time. Jeff Merrick, who was with Sportsnet until recently, used to be on the Hockey Night in Canada satellite radio show. Yeah. And he phoned and he said, he brought up something. He said, I got no problem with him doing it. He aped it from you, though. And I said, what are you even talking about? And then I waited and watched the highlights. I'm like, oh, he did the hot stick. Now, what happened was, you see, the next season I went to Fredericton, and we would be in practice doing all these. Now, I never actually did it in the American League, the hot stick in a game, but I did do the fisherman, and Rocky Thompson put a bounty on my head. It was 5 games into my American League career. He did in the paper, just like Slapshot. And I know Rocky's a friend of mine. Rocky's a friend of mine. He did it. I have it in there somewhere, the article. And Jerry Fleming came out right off the bat and fought Rocky. And then I fought Matt Odette, who was a big lefty that wasn't as obvious or wasn't as vocal about being a goonish tough guy as Rocky was. Rocky was very vocal, but that's it. And he said, that's it. After I did it, he goes, someone's coming after you. I don't know who it's going to be, but I'm putting a bounty on your head. And he did it. So went out. And anyway, that happened. And we used to, so Jose Theodore loved all this stuff. He absolutely loved it. So he used to wait after practice and tell us something. And at this point, the stories are getting out because guys are starting to seep into the American League and the NHL that did play with me in junior. So they're going, no, he did this or he did that. Or I posted a couple weeks ago when I went to Tri-City. I did the Chichi Rodriguez. I used to just, at this point, people were waiting for me to do something after a goal. I almost got a free pass from the other players. I would do it so much. So anyway, that was Theo's absolute favorite, was the hot stick. And what ends up happening, obviously, he gets MVP of the NHL in Montreal. I can't remember at what point he got traded, but he gets traded to Washington, of course. And while they're doing that, now I've never heard this from Ovechkin. I've heard it from Theo. I think he told it on Chicklets as well. But that's it. And so without being absolutely positive, Jeff, because I didn't hear it from Alex, but I mean, come on, he's doing the hot stick. And Merrick actually put an article out there. You might even be able to still find it, and flew me in to Hockey Night in Canada studios. I said, Tyson, how about this? I used to do this with your dad. I can't believe that we're waking up to the hot stick and I'm flying to Toronto. So anyway, I went there. He said, we'll fly you here and everything as long as you tell that story. And I went in like 2 days later and went up in the studio. I was so proud, man, because at that point I'd been out of the game for a while. No one knew where I was. I had no connection to it. And all of a sudden I'm connected to Alex Ovechkin's 50th goal, all from our celebrations in Red Deer. And we were all in on it, man. It wasn't just me and BJ, Ash. It's just that we got most of the stars, but we would be in the room as a team going, okay, what are we going to do? And it really, really brought us together. Honestly, there you go. You tell about some momentum with teams. Sometimes it has nothing to do with fighting or taking crap in front of the net. Sometimes it's just, let's get together. And we used to, after every game, no matter who, we would come up with these celebrations. And of course, the biggest lasting one is the hot stick.
The hot stick. Well, I love the fact that Rocky Thompson, and I've had Rocky on the show, and I remember Rocky because now when Rocky used to be in the Western League, and back when he had the longer hair, and he goes, every now and then he goes, I would just go crazy just to see, just to show them that I was crazy, because then it got me more space and people would leave me alone. Now, he was a boxer, so he knew how to fight. He was a really good technical fighter.
Golden glove boxer.
Yeah, like he fought heavyweights that were way bigger than him, but because he knew how to box, he knew how to jab. And he always, I remember him explaining on our show once how for him, it was all about angles, right? So if you turn this certain way, well, now he's not going to get hit clean on the button. Yeah, he might take one, but it's not going to hurt nearly as much. And so he talked all about the strategy. But the fact that he went in the paper and probably put a bounty on you, that's exactly all Rocky goes. Most of his game was, he goes, you got to have mental warfare as much as physical. And a lot of times you can just get in the head of someone else. They think you're crazy. They're not even going to come close to you.
Yeah, whatever it was, like the way he worded it, he said, whoever fights Terry next game is going to get the hard hat or whatever. He didn't say the word bounty, but you know what I mean. That's why, So, and Rocky, so we back then, I don't know how they do it now, but back then there was two divisions, the East and the West. And we would play each team over there twice just for the travel, right? We just once there, once. And Jeremy Thompson, Rocky's brother, was on our team, and a smaller, but definitely another version of he could fight.
God,
really, really fight. And anyway, between the jigs and reels, I remember being kind of red. Well, I fought Rocky when he was 16. I didn't know. You look at the stats before, and I'm like, when he came at me, I said, well, he's a 16-year-old. Well, and it turns out it was this. I remember Bob Laux was our coach coming down going, do you realize you just fought one of the toughest? I'm like, no, he's born in 77, isn't he? And no, I said, no one's 16 can be as tough as Wade Belak and Brad Myers, but he was like up there considered, right? Just like Stephen Pete was when he played with me. He was 16, and he fought Rocky. But anyway, Rocco, we go into playing Medicine Hat, and one of the most intimidating things, the whole Eastern swing was intimidating. I mean, we're over there. We had tough teams, but Tri-City's in the desert, Seattle, Portland, it's like, these big buildings that are even in the upper division, Kamloops and Kelowna. These are great buildings and nothing like the East, man. That was a wake up. And we go over there, and he comes out, and they announce the starting lineup. And when he comes out, the lights are down, and they're playing Phantom of the Opera. And ladies and gentlemen, last. And they kept him like way last. And then whatever his height and weight and everything, not just his number. And then the Phantom of the Opera. And he came out waving his head. And I don't know if you've asked him this. I used to bug him about it. That helmet would come off all the time. It would come off 20 times a game because he loved skating around and waving his hair, and you wouldn't get a penalty for it back then. So he seemed like, whoa, there's one thing. Like, he was the toughest. He was like the folk hero. He was Davy Crockett. He was the Undertaker. He was Hulk Hogan. He was Mike Tyson all at once, just skating around, wanting an absolute melee with everybody that touched him. It was crazy watching him out there, man. Like, I know that a lot of people from our era might tell stories, and sometimes it seems like an exaggeration. I can't give this enough. I'm underplaying it all. Just his whole existence in the Western League was crazy to look at, but a great guy. And when we ever came to blows or anything close, we really got at it a few times on the ice. It was impossible not to if you just trying to be, trying to stick up for your team. But always came to me after and said, it's a job, T-Bone. It's a job, Noof. High five. Always thrilled to play the game. Thrilled to be Major Junior. Thrilled to be a pro. Love Rocky Thompson, even when he gave me a hard time.
Yeah, no, a really good guy. That's TR Stale, brought to you by Action Electrical. When we come back, Jason Strudwick. We'll talk to Struddy You ever fight Rock? We'll find out next on the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440. We'll talk about Nurse and his wanting to be more physical. It's led to him getting the games, playing better, and more on the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
In 1973, deep in the basement of an Edmonton family home, an elite team of specialized forces came together to form Action Electrical.
Action Electrical Divisions, assemble!
Projects team reporting.
Service team reporting.
Testing team reporting.
Energy team reporting.
Supercharged with skills in their electrical fields and grounded by strong family values. Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility, available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine, you can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
You'll see us digging holes. No, we're not looking for buried treasure. You'll see us digging trenches as well. And no, we're not building a fort. We're GS Construction, and you'll see us in neighborhoods throughout the Edmonton area. So what are we doing? GS Construction provides rehabilitation and upgrade services to Edmonton and surrounding communities. Some of our underground utilities have served us for years and are past their useful lives. We replace them, so they're around for years to come. Find out more at gsconstruction.ca.
Diablo Boots in Canada West. 2 great names in work and cowboy boots. For over 60 years, Diablo has been selling the best-made Canadian boots. Diablo has boots from sizes 6E to size 15 EE, just for you. Why buy boots made in China like Ariat, Justin, or Red Wing, when Diablo has the best quality for less, made in Canada? Diablo has work and cowboy boots with replaceable soles and heels for longer life. So, save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard, on the east side of Save On Foods. Hurry in today for best selection.
.429, Jason Gregor, Terry Ryan, Connor Halley, and Sports 1440. Let's get to the oil report brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton.com. The new 2025 XC90s and XC90 plug-in hybrids are in stock. You can test drive one today at Volvo Cars Edmonton.com. As we welcome in former NHLer, co-host of the Got Your Back podcast, Jason Strudwick joins us. Struddy, did you ever fight Rocky Thompson?
Oh yeah, it was my first fight in the minors, in junior.
How'd that go?
And it went as well as he thought. You know what? Everyone's like, "Oh, you got to watch this guy. He's really tough." I'm like, "Yeah, no problem." And then Tyson Nash, one of the more irritating guys of his era, worked up Rocky. So I came in there, and Rocky was like, "Oh, this is great. I'll beat up this big guy." And I hung in there, and I tried to move, but it was like I was getting hit by 3 guys, not just one. He was tough for a reason, really tough.
Well, he knew how to, like, he was a Gold Glove boxer, man. Like, he knew how to move. His hands were so fast.
Yeah, quick hands, and he knew it. Like, it wasn't pretty. Like, I didn't get destroyed, but it definitely wasn't like the best way to start your fighting career.
TR was telling us how, and you'd go in there, how, like, just what like, it's different time now. You wouldn't do it nowadays, but man, like, his introduction was like WWE-esque when, you know, when they would introduce him at times in the lineup. Like, it was a little bit more fun maybe at that time, right? Like, you'd really build up guys. Nowadays, it's like, number 4, yay, and everybody claps, but that's it, right? Like, there's not as much personality sometimes in the game anymore.
Oh, how about, and sorry, Struds, before you go, you guys remember when they announced a goal, they used to go Rocket Rod Stevens?
Yeah.
Scored by Rocket Rod Stevens, not just Rod Stevens. Every once in a while, there was a little nickname in. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
No, 100%. And I, you know what? I think the personality is a good thing for the game, right? And you know, if you give a guy a nickname or use his nickname when you're announcing a goal or something like that, like, does it really matter? Like, I honestly, you hardly even notice it as a player too. You're just like, yeah, whatever, like, just make it happen. So I like those little moments. And when guys maybe overemphasize a name or, you know, it's a big goal to get excited to announce, I think that's important. Kind of gets the fans worked up.
Oh God, yeah, I think it's great. Darnell Nurse spoke to him earlier today, and, you know, I asked him about being more physical. To me, he's been way more physical this season. You know, he admitted that he feels he plays better. Said it, you know, it wasn't where it wanted to be in his game the last year and a bit. His words, and I've noticed. I don't know, Struddy, you watch closer, like. Nurse just seems way more physically engaged, and he says when he's playing more aggressive, that means he is using his speed more because now he's up on guys. And what have you noticed in his game? Because I think the first 6 games, like, he's been really good on the back end.
So what happens when you're a D-man, especially like a Darnell Nurse, is that, you know, you look at what is my base thing, and there's a lot of things that Darnell can do for sure, but when your base thing is able to be physical like that and intimidate others with that, you feel good about yourself. So it's like a check, right? Here, okay, I'm going to go on, I'm going to put some bodies on these guys. I'm going to close on them quicker. Because I'm trying to get bodies, I have to close on it quicker. And it brings you confidence. And like, this is what I'm doing. I think when Darnell gets in trouble, or doesn't trouble, maybe trouble is the wrong word, but when he's not the player he can be, he's trying to be a bit more of a wheeler dealer. And I don't see that as his core thing. Can he at times help? Yes, he can. But I think when he's moving the puck quickly and being physical and intimidating, doesn't mean that every time you go on the ice, you have to run someone over, because you can't keep that up for hopefully 100 games for him this year. But you can, at moments, especially on their top players, close quick and get a body on him and knock him down, even if you fall on him by accident. These things happen. And then all of a sudden the rest of your game comes easier because you know that this part of your game's firing, and now you're moving the puck better, making better decisions with the puck, and it makes a lot of sense.
TR?
Oh, I was going to ask you, Struddy, what do you think? The power play's struggling. Now, it is the Oilers, and it'll likely just play itself out, and the law of averages will win out. But would you give the second unit more time right now? I mean, we're 6 games in, and they're struggling a bit.
So I've been advocating for the second unit to get more ice time because, you know, for years, because I think you got to try to find guys like this year, like Arvidsson, extra ice time, or Skinner. But guys, I'm going to take a step further. I know this wasn't your question. What I would do is I would make 2 separate units right now. So I'd split up the top 5. I'd put 3 on one, 2 on the other, then mix in, you know, the Arvidssons, the Skinners, Ekholm or Nurse, whoever you want. And this is why, because they seem really out of sync right now. So now you put, you know, 2 groups together, and each get a minute, whatever it is, for a little bit. And then when you put them back together, the top unit, they're like, oh, this feels right. Now I remember why we can do this. Now I remember why we had success. Because right now they're so out of sync. I think they need something kind of like a defibrillator, right? To kind of get them going again. And so that's how I'd take it that far. I would really, and so that means, yeah, Connor and Leon are different power play lines. And I know that sounds radical, but you look at where they're at right now. They look so out of sorts. They look so uncomfortable out there. This, I think, would be a way to kind of get them to realize when they come back together that it does feel right, and they do have to work hard and appreciate playing with each other and what they've accomplished as a group of 5.
Friday, that's bold. Like, I thought you were going to say, like, maybe you move Hyman or Nugent, because I'm trying to think of a team in the NHL that doesn't have their 2 best players in the same power play unit.
Well, this unit's cracking. What are they at? 7%? I know they've been at 25 or 30%.
Yeah.
But they don't look like that right now. And so I'm not blaming the top guys. I'm not blaming that it's this guy or that guy or this. But this is a way to just say, look, we're going to put you guys apart. We're going to go for whatever it is. You can do a game. I don't care. But a long enough stretch so when they come back together, like, this feels right. Now I remember why we can do things. And it is very bold, Gregor. There's no doubt about it. But, I think they need to be reminded about why they've been so good together and kind of appreciate playing with each other and how much fun it is to play with skilled players like this.
Yeah, there's something to your last line there that you definitely could make you say, maybe. I was wondering if the coach just says, I'm going to start the second unit on a power play and create some internal competition.
Yeah, and I think that, even a little bit further than that. I wasn't on the power play, which probably surprised a lot of people. They know what to do. It pisses you off when you're I know when I felt like I was the top penalty kill unit and they put the other D-men out. I'm like, are you kidding me? And I look around, I'm like, okay, hold on, like this. And so next time I've got fire in my eyes coming out there. Right. So I think that could be one way to get it. So, just doing the same and thinking it's going to change. I just have a hard time. I have a hard time believing that eventually it might come around. But if we're looking for a change and for some improvement which they need, I think you got to do something a little bit more radical than just, we'll give the second unit at 40 seconds instead of 20.
Their overall defensive game really hasn't been that bad. If you look at scoring chances, shots, everything else, especially the last 3 games, even 4 games, they haven't given up very much at all. Are you surprised, considering all the changes on defense, how decent they've been actually defending and limiting chances?
Well, there is. I mean, because you've lost 3 players that have been in your group for a long time. And you're right. I think that, let's just go back to Dallas. I mean, the first 2 periods, they had very few shots, right? Really very few shots. So, what more do you want a group of D to do, and forward? Let's not just put the capes on the back of the D-men, although that's probably the right choice most of the time. But, they are doing, the group is doing a good job. The problem is that they're not scoring.
Mm-hmm.
You got to find a way. You can only, the old bend don't break doesn't last for, forever, especially against a team like Dallas. You got to find a way to get some goals early to pad, to add to what the D-men are doing or the defense are doing. But it's funny when you look at the beginning of the year, you're like, what's going to be a challenge? I didn't expect power play and scoring to be, maybe at the top of the list.
Now, what shows you it is early in the season, right? And I think most people, if you had to ask them to wager, most people are going to say, yeah, I'll expect the Oilers offense to start going. Like if the Oilers top 6 scored 3 goals tonight, I don't think anyone would be overly surprised. But I will ask you, out of Arvidsson, Hyman, and Nugent-Hopkins, who do you think is struggling the most? And then conversely, what do they do to get out of their funk?
Yeah, I mean, Hyman's been around the net, right? So I think eventually you're gonna find some garbage, right? And then that'll kind of get him going. But Nuge, I mean, how many grade A chances has the Nuge had? I think that's something that I think you got to be a little bit worried about. If he's not going to ton, and then Arvidsson, I think Arvidsson's he's gonna be fine. I look at the way he plays, and but I'm a little bit worried about Nuge and just his start so far. We can talk about, although the whole top 6 as a group, it's not like any of them are really lighting it up. I mean, Skinner's probably been the best of the bunch, and he probably had the worst training camp. Yeah. And we're like, oh man, what kind of signings is this? And now all of a sudden we're like, thank God he got Skinner, which is crazy. So I think they're all, unfortunately, and again, TR can maybe speak to this a little bit better, but if 2 guys on a line are struggling, it's hard for the third guy to turn it over, right? So everyone, it's okay if 1 guy's struggling on a line and 2 are going, but of the top 6, I don't think really any of them are really at their peak yet. And I think it's really hard for them to get out with at least 2 on each line going, TR.
I totally agree with you. In fact, we used to say those exact words, come on, boys, 2 of us got to be going here. Pick me up a little bit. And that just goes it doesn't go without saying. But you can really see, we talked about momentum and flow. And when a team, especially when there's 3 of you and you're consciously trying to put it together, it doesn't work. It's got to be flowing. And when it becomes subconscious, then you're flying. I don't care if it's the third line or the first line or the power play or whatever it is. But for me, as much as I looked in the mirror, I used to really, really be trying, okay, what do we need to do here? I'm not saying you're playing poorly here, Lanks, but I'm clearly not in sync. what do we have to do? What do we, or, just go the other way, loosey-goosey, but you all have to be in sync. If not, then it's going to be hard times for all three.
Yeah, and I love the way you break that down. Like, I think that you can't overcomplicate it. I wasn't the most skilled player, but just like we talked about Darnell Nurse earlier, Grace, what do we do when we're doing best, right?
Yep.
So, and even Connor McDavid can say that to him. When I'm at my best, what am I doing? What are the one or two things I can really get going to help us out? And then you get flowing, and all of a sudden that goes, okay, well, now I've got some foundation to build off of. Instead of trying to make complicated plays, and I think especially early, I thought they were overpassing the puck or not taking shots over there. If you get in the slot and you haven't scored, just shoot it. Just shoot it at the net. Let's just try to get it there and just see what happens, right? And I know that sounds like I'm making it too easy, but if it's there, take that shot. So I really hope that those are the conversations that they're having with each other. It doesn't have to be coach. It's a player-to-player talk. Hey, man, let's get down to what we do best, and let's do that tonight and really take it to them.
Jason Strudwick joins us on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook. Carolina plays a very similar style, right? That they love to, they'll give you the outside all day long, right? And some teams, you know what, they can spend time in their zone. They don't get a lot of shots. How do you break that down? How does Edmonton ensure that they can get to the middle of the ice tonight?
Yeah, so when you play kind of just I'm going to protect the middle more than anything, or man-on-man or whatever, it can be misleading that you're, oh boy, we're in the zone for that whole shift. Oh, we didn't get in between the dots. We didn't get inside the dots. So really, what did we do? We basically had a skate-a-thon around the outside of the offensive zone and didn't move it. So what I think you have to do is you got to try to get guys to go to the inside of the ice as much as possible. So, maybe I'm on the half wall, I pass it down or cycle it down to TR who's down below the goal line, and I jump to the middle of the ice. So now I drag someone behind me to come with me in that area. Then maybe the D-man can pop down to the ice I just vacated. Maybe there's a quick shot there. So you have to make sure that you don't get stuck on just, we have the puck the whole time. You've got to penetrate the middle of the ice. And then if you from low to high, again, the D-man got to jump to the middle, and it's a quick pass to the low, or just get the puck to the net and kind of break them down so they get out of their comfort zone, because their comfort zone is protect the middle of the ice, which makes a lot of sense, but it's a false leader because you're not really getting anything done.
Well, one last one. We've talked about the power play, but the penalty kill strategy is 55%, which is dead last. Like their special teams are a combined 61%, which is mind-blowingly terrible right now. The penalty kill, and I talked about it at the start. I said, hey, don't downplay the penalty kill. When you take out Desharnais, you take out CC. They've moved Ekholm and Nurse are now a duo, with Ekholm playing the right side, but he's a left shot. And Nurse is there, and then they got Kulak on the second pair, and then they rotate different guys in there. What do you make of the PK changes? And what about being a left shot playing the right side on the PK?
Well, let's start with the changes first, because the biggest thing is that they're a lot smaller, right? You think of Desharnais and Ekholm, how much space those guys would take up. It was a ton of space, and all of a sudden you don't have that type of size, right? I mean, Darnell's not as big as Desharnais was. Then whomever they play with, Kulak, definitely isn't the same size. Even CC was a bigger guy, so he'd take up space. It's just not as much. I loved playing my offside as a penalty killer, because your stick is in your right hand as a lefty on the right side, and all the action's on the outside. So you can actually reach further.
Okay.
If a guy's trying to shoot and get your stick on a tip puck, or when you're going into the corner, I'm trying to jam that puck up the wall, and I try to jam it up because I don't want it to go. I try to jam it up the wall to win my forward. I can jam it up so I can get a shot and ice it down. So I love playing the offside. Or if the puck was dumped in, guess who's going back on his forehand to give the old hard slap shot around the rink? Like, that's what it's all about. So I love that part of it. So yeah, like playing the offside in the PK, I don't see any issues at all or a challenge.
Did you actually take slap shots when you went back?
A lot in warm up.
Yeah.
A lot in warm up.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I actually try to go up the middle lots because I always found the middle was pretty open, but I didn't always get to touch it. Sometimes the goalie would shoot it out.
Practice that one tee, and you practiced that one tee a lot though after practice was done, Struddy?
Oh, what a waste of time. What a waste of time. I think of all the years I spent practicing one-timers, I don't think I ever took a one-timer in my life, in my whole career. What a waste of time. That and bag skates. I'd probably have a year of my life back if I did less bag some skill work, and didn't shoot. I'd only be 48 right now.
So I have to ask you, when you coach little guys, and now your kids are getting a little bit older into U15, do you encourage a lefty to play the right side on the PK and vice versa?
No, if you're on your regular side, I let them just set up there. But I have no problem if we have 5 righties, I put guys on the left. I'm like, yeah, you got to figure it out, learn how to play it right. That's the job. You got to be able to play it in different ways. I think you should be able to play. I think a player should be able to play. A D should be able to play both sides when they're young, and should be able to play all 3 forward positions. I really do.
Oh, I'm with you 100%. Because then you learn sometimes as an offensive guy, like being on your off wing. Now it's hard in the defensive zone, but there's advantages if you're a right winger playing the left wing coming in, because now your stick's in the middle of the ice more.
Yeah, you just learn to play different ways. Like it just makes so much sense. When I hear someone, well, I'm only a left winger. Well, can you play a bit of center? It wouldn't kill you. What if you're under penalty kill and you got to play some center? Although it's a little bit different, but take face-offs, understand those responsibilities. I think that's really important.
I'm with you on that one, 100%. And I think it's good for a kid. Don't to pigeon. I remember Sean Burke telling us he doesn't believe goalies should play full-time goalie until they're 12, because if they play defense, they learn kind of aspects of where a defenseman's going to be. So now when you're a goalie and you're thinking, you're like, well, my defenseman should be here so I can play over here. And it was really fascinating interview with him talking about it. So it makes sense for D-men to play different positions, for even defensemen to play forward sometimes. Like I know I've had it when games, if we're in blowout games or something, I put forwards on D on forwards, and I say, guys, try as hard as you can in this position. I don't care that it's uncomfortable, but you learn, and sometimes it's better. Some guy all of a sudden, there's lots of kids who were a forward up until 13, 14, 15, then played defense and boom, was good, and vice versa. So. Yeah, no, for sure. And you just got to learn. You got to learn the game from different positions. And even in the minors, I played forward, and I played forward in the NHL. You kind of learn about your boy. Actually, I had a little more time than I thought up here, and then also I draw a lot of coverage too, take some of the pressure off the big guys. So helped out in the matchups. Well, Mac T still never respected your offensive ability, Strutting that one game. Everybody remembers it. The greatest line, that might have been the greatest game as a fourth liner in your career, and you just didn't get the ice time you deserved that night.
No, I still got to talk about what were you thinking? I was on fire, and you just kept benching me for guys that weren't doing anything. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Well, you know what? It's going in the Hall of Fame. We might have to ask about that.
Yeah, right. Bring it up. One mistake.
Yeah. What were you thinking about? Like, Mac, if there's coaching errors that you made, was it taking Struddy and not playing him more on the fourth line?
Exactly.
Where does that rank?
Exactly.
We'll ask him for sure. Struddy, we'll see you at the rink. Enjoy the game.
Looking forward to it, guys. See ya.
There you go. That's Jason Strudwick. Jason Gregor, Terry Ryan with you. Connor Halley will come back. We got 5 questions and more. 833-401-1440. You can text us in our inbox, 833-401-1440. Greatest goal celebration you've ever seen. T-Yard loves a hot stick. What do you like?
This is Nuge's Nuggets, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. What nugget of heating and cooling advice does Nuge have today?
You can save a lot of money by bundling your new furnace and AC with Legacy. It's kind of like saving money on an endorsement by bundling me, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, with someone like, Zachary Martin Hyman.
Thanks for suggesting me, Nuge. Get no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new AC and furnace from Legacy Heating and Cooling. Proud sponsor of Nuge's Nuggets.
Ready to tackle your toughest tasks? Edmonton Kubota has you covered with the all-new M8 Series tractor with powerful 181 and 201 horsepower engines, Cummins power, and loader readiness. It's built to handle any challenge. And now, for a limited time, get a free 4-year extended warranty when you drive off with an M8 Series tractor. Don't miss out on this unbeatable offer. Visit Edmonton Kubota today and power up your productivity. Edmonton Kubota, where power meets performance.
For 5 days only, the President's Sale is on at The Brick. We've got the best offers of the season, like up to 50% off mattresses, up to $800 off sectionals, and up to 65% off sofas when you buy the matching love seater chair. Also, when you buy more, you save more, up to an additional $1,000 when you buy 2 or more select major kitchen appliances. Plus, prepare for the holidays with our price protection guarantee. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV, and I want to talk to you about your roof. Actually, I'm talking about the roof on your house. If your roof were to spring a leak, how soon would you want to fix it?
Pretty much the instant you discover it, Rick.
That's right, Bob. The damage it can do to your home is measured in minutes, not weeks. But if you have a leak in your RV while it's stored away for the winter, this can lead to catastrophic problems. because you wouldn't even know what's happened until spring with months of damage already done.
Manufacturers recommend a roof assessment at least every year.
Right again, Bob. That's why Noble RV offers free roof assessments every fall. We'll climb up there and check the condition of your RV's roof and give you a detailed report in writing. That way, you'll know if your RV is ready for another harsh northern Alberta winter. It's a free service we provide, and it could save you thousands in repair costs down the road.
And that's Noble.
NobleRV.ca.
Jason Gregor, Terry Ryan, Connor Halley, as we continue on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. And how about this? Do you want to go to the game tonight? We're going to do a little easy cross promotion. Go right now, if you're listening anywhere, hey, pull it up on your phone, anywhere. Go to the Oilers Nation YouTube or Facebook page. Very simple. And you will see a code word on the screen. Then text in that code word to 833-401-1440 with the code word and your name. We'll give everybody 15 minutes, and then we'll do a draw. Someone's going to go to the game tonight. Sweet seats. I think there's section 118, Cons. Is that right?
Sounds right, yeah.
Ooh,
confirm that.
Center ice, buddy. Those are some money seats for tonight's game. So you can go look up the code word on our... And by the way, while you're at the YouTube, do a favor. Hit the thumbs up for Connor. You'll make his day. That's his thing. He loves the thumbs up. So hit it while you're there and see the code word. And good karma. If you hit it, you got a way better chance of winning. Just by karma. And if you don't believe in karma, that's Deshaun Watson about karma. Ayo. Let's get to 5 questions now, brought to you by The Brick, where saving you more is an obsession for those at The Brick. And great deals on right now, 40% off mattresses. You can save up to over $500 on major appliances right now at The Brick and thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, guys, question number 1. The Oilers back at tonight against the Hurricanes. Looking at the opposing team, who's one player you will be watching for the Canes? Also, prediction for the final score.
For me, I've always enjoyed watching Svechnikov, even since junior. People forget, some do. In Barrie, he had like nearly a goal a game. I remember hearing about him when he came onto the scene. I think he went 2nd or 3rd overall. And ever since, he is streaky, but he scored, I think, last game. And I just love watching him play for no other reason than I think he's a creative hockey player. And he does some things out there that are very unique. And I like watching Svechnikov no matter what. So I'm looking forward to watching him tonight.
Jacob Slavin, he's such a good defender. And I know I'm always on the offensive guys, but a guy like that who's that good of a defender, I'll be watching him tonight. And just the subtleties of his game and how he defends is something that intrigues me, to be honest. So I will go with him. Prediction, I know the last few games between these teams, the last 4 have been high scoring. I don't know. Neither one of these teams are giving up much, and Edmonton's not scoring. I hope that they're due for a breakout because I love offense, but I kind of think it's going to be low scoring 3-2 game.
Question number 2, Ty Emberson coming out of the lineup tonight. I know it's been brief, but in the time you've seen of him, what has been your impression of the young defenseman?
I think he's getting better every time. He's a young guy. He's still played fewer than 40 NHL games, right? I think people needed to kind of lower their expectations. He wasn't acquired to replace Cody Ceci straight across, right? There was a salary cap dump in this, and you're getting a young defenseman who you hope can become what Cody Ceci's career is, which is way better than some people want to admit. He's had a really good career the last decade. But, Emberson, to me, I think there's a player there. I'd like to see him play more. if I was being completely, I get the coach, they want to keep guys in the rhythm, but I'd be playing him like, does Travis Dermott have much more growth in his game? Meh. I think Emerson does, so I probably want to see him play more of the games than Dermott.
What's impressed me? I think he plays with more poise and reliability than I expected someone with so few games played. And when he was acquired by the Oilers, I remember there being a lot of questions about the fact that he's very inexperienced. But hey, from what I've seen, if anything, he looks experienced. He might not stand out, but he's not doing a lot to put the team at risk. And I got to say, that's impressive for a guy with under 50 games in the league.
Question number 3. We've got every team in the NHL playing tonight. So outside of the Oilers, of course, who are your top 3 teams to watch?
Well, look, teams to watch doesn't necessarily mean the best teams, because some of them like yawn you. For years you could put New Jersey back in my heyday, near the top, and I hated watching them play. It was horrible. It was a root canal. So I like watching Toronto. I'm not trying to be Toronto-centric here, but they do have Austin Matthews, who's a threat every time. For the same reason I like watching, one of the biggest goal scorers in the league, Hart Trophy winner. Then for the same reason I like watching Svechnikov, I like watching Marner. I think he does things. He's an intriguing player to watch because he's very creative. And whether you're up and down on his defensive game or his overall toughness or playoff or whatever, I think he's a magical player to watch. So I like watching Toronto, if only for those 2 reasons, but there's other reasons to watch. I like watching Chicago. I want to see what Bedard's going to do. There's lots of mistakes being made. And, people forget guys like Taylor Hall, who they got into compliment, who missed most of the last season. Yeah, a Hart Trophy winner. I think there's a lot to watch there. And again, I like watching mistakes because it means it's going to be fire hall hockey, and I enjoy that. You're asking who specifically, if it's on TV, I will watch. There's 2 of them. Third for me, and the Oilers are number 1. I'm not just saying it because I'm on the channel. Obviously, for a lot of reasons, they're number 1. I like offense. It could end there. But I like watching the Rangers. They're good. Madison Square Garden, I like watching home games. It gets flying. You might see goals. Panarin is on a Gretzky-like tear right now. You might see fights. Rempe is probably not the toughest, but definitely the most talked about tough guy out there. So you're going to see something. You never know. A line brawl might break out or Panarin might get 5 goals. I like watching them, and it's a tie between those guys and Ottawa. People laugh. Ottawa, I like watching Ottawa. You might see Brady Tkachuk go mad. There's a good mix of skill and toughness there. There's a lot of mistakes, so you're going to see a lot of fire wagon games. And I think, for every bit of toughness that Tkachuk has, he also has some skill, and it's filtered down. Josh Norris, Stützle, you can go down the list, and there's guys that are intriguing to watch for one reason or the other. But basically, you're going to see some hits, maybe a fight, and some open hockey because they're just not good defensively.
Tampa Bay is at the top of my list. They got offense, they got goaltending, they got defense. I always enjoy watching a Tampa Bay game. Washington this season is a team at always on the chase, so I'll be watching that. And Nathan McKinnon, Colorado, sign me up anytime I can watch him.
Question number 4, former Oil King Jake Neighbors gets a 2-year extension with the St. Louis Blues today. I provided you a little bit of a list here. Who do you think in the modern edition of the Oil Kings is the greatest to lace them up?
So now the best Oil Kings player, so at his time, or who's the best Oil King now in the NHL?
I'm going to say Oil King at their time with the team.
Okay. It's a better question. I like that. It's a good question. God, he was really good. People probably forget him. Curtis Lazar probably as an Oil King, although Michael St. Croix had a hell of it. I'm pretty sure he's their leader in goals and everything like that. But I think he's got the most points. But I'll go with Curtis Lazar.
I'm going to go with St. Croix or St. Croix. Is it St. Croix? I just read the word. But I've been on the map for a while. I know he won with them, right? He's got a championship. Am I wrong there? I believe he does. And his numbers are astronomical. I think they only got like 3 or 4 players with even 200 points, and he has 300 odd. I think 330 or something like that. So for me, and he played a lot of the years there, big member of the community. I'm going to pick him. And I really respect some guys, they just have fantastic junior careers. You don't see them in the NHL, But this guy was a stud, and I'm going to go with Michael St. Croix.
Yeah, didn't win the Mem Cup, but won the league championship.
Okay. I thought it was
shout out to TJ Foster. He hit a wicked moonwalk on Michael Jackson night when he scored a goal.
That is true.
It was quite good. Final question for you guys. Christopher Lloyd celebrating his birthday today. Been in a ton of movies, but of course, Back to the Future, the franchise, nailed it. So when it comes to that genre, we're talking time travel movies. What would be your favorite?
I'm going to give you a couple time travel movies, but my answer is going to have an asterisk because it's so far ahead of everything else. So Groundhog Day, for sure, is one of them. And you talk repeat viewings, then that would have to be way up there. Interstellar, I thought was really interesting. And when I watched Neil deGrasse Tyson, an astrophysicist, talk about it, he said, of all the time travel movies, this one's, we're not there yet, but most of the physics is real. And I like that, even though, I'm all about Marvel and whatever, Superman, and I can suspend reality, but when there's one of those movies that keeps me intrigued, that's based on at least what we know of as physics, that we, science that we can pretty much, we've got figured out and we know is going to happen, I really find that intriguing. So that would be my favorite movie. But overall, I'm telling you, I went back and watched the Star Treks, and and I know it's not a movie, but my favorite episode of TV ever, and way out in front of everything else, is the #1 rated, again, by far, episode of Star Trek. Do yourselves a favor and go watch it. It's on Netflix. City on the Edge of Forever. It's so good. I took it in a philosophy class, was the first time, and I said, I should watch a lot of this. It is deadly. It's got Joan Collins as a special guest. In the episode, they go back to the Earth in like 1930s. And so there's a lot going on, but it's absolutely deadly, and it's my favorite time travel anything by a landslide. City on the Edge of Forever, Star Trek original series.
I'm going with Terminator. And the cyborg assassin, I'll probably go with that in time travel. I love Terminator. Cons?
Hot Tub Time Machine.
Wow. Hey, not a bad choice.
Good getaway. Turned a little crazy. They went back and relived some of their best times. Hot Tub Time Machine.
Oh, jeez. Another one that was really good was 12 Monkeys.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. TR, prediction tonight. What happens?
Yeah, I forgot to give you my prediction. I'm going to go. Here you go. I was going to say 4-3. 6-5 Oilers overtime.
Ooh, I love the goals. Hope you're right. TR, thanks for this. There you go. Now, we do have a few people who got the code word. It's very simple. All you got to do is go to our Facebook or YouTube page right now for Oilers Nation. Hook up the Gregor Show. You'll see it right on the front page. You cannot miss it. It is right there, the code word, and then text into 833-401-1440 with your name, and you could win a pair of sweet seats center ice tonight. Oilers and the Canes. Let's get to the Command Sports 1440 update, brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers, and the Canada-wide clearance is on now at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on a 2024 Sierra $1,500 crew cab. Not $1,500, $1,500 crew cab Elevation. See more at gmcoffers.ca.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Busy game day in the NHL. The Oilers will take on the Carolina Hurricanes just after 7 o'clock down at the Ice District. We got pregame coverage coming up at 6 with Andrew Walker and Donovan Paulson. The boys will be back for postgame as well. Game's underway. Like I said, every team in action tonight. Right now, Caps up on the Flyers 2-0 after 20. Midway through the first, the Wild have a 2-0 lead over the Panthers, and it's scoreless between the Devils and the Lightning still to come tonight. Sabres, Stars, Rangers, Canadians. You got the Jackets and the Leafs. Red Wings in New York taking on the Islanders. Jets travel to St. Louis. Blackhawks host the Vancouver Canucks. Sends up against Utah Flames hosting the Penguins, and the Kings take on the Golden Knights in the association. Celtics and Knicks kicking off this season in about 30 minutes. And then at 8 o'clock, you got the Timberwolves taking on LeBron and the Lakers. Some news from the NFL today. Puka Nacua may be back soon as the Rams have opened up the 21-day practice window. He was placed on the IR back in week 1 with a sprained PCL, missing the last 5 games. Also, some news with the Rams. There's reports saying that they are calling multiple teams about trading star wide receiver Cooper Kupp. The Rams have indicated a willingness to take on some of his salary for this season and are seeking a second-round pick in return. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and Derek Van Diest from NHL.com. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility, available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine, you can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
I'm Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
And I'm Zach Hyman.
And when we're not making juicy, sweet passes
or having my goals disallowed,
we're working for Legacy Heating and Cooling.
You know, guys used to call me a plumber.
And now they call you an HVAC technician.
Nice.
Hey, guys, you're not here to install furnaces. You're here to sing the jingle.
Oh.
Well.
Okay.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
No payments and no interest for 1 year from qualified installers. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients, better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. That's SPORTS20.
Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches. We provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation. Our seatbelt-equipped buses have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, contact Ted Nakamura at 780-940-0880 or visit silentrides.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility, available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine, you can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Hey, you hear about this new burger place?
Heard about it? I've been to it.
The Varsity?
Yeah, the Varsity.
This is the one at White Mud Crossing, right?
Right.
This is the one with those incredible burgers, right?
Correctamundo.
This is the one
with the unlimited steak fries? Yeah, that's the Varsity, bro.
Unlimited steak fries?
And they're so good.
We gotta go. Like now.
Come to the Varsity for 100% all beef, chef-inspired burgers that are never frozen and cooked fresh. Each served with an unlimited portion of those amazing steak fries. The Varsity Kitchen Bar Burgers.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. It's Terrific Tuesday.
Just after 5 o'clock, it's game day. Puck drop just over 2 hours from now as the Oilers hosting the Carolina Hurricanes. We'll get the code word back up in a second. We'll give you 5 more minutes if you want to go to our YouTube page, and you'll see it. You can't miss it. Or on Facebook, on X as well. If you got any of those, you'll see it right up on the screen. And then text it right into the number 833-401-1440. As always, the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. And for all of those who hit the like button for Connor, you're making his day. He's very excited. Very, very excited. So keep it up. PlayAlberta.ca, boatload, all 32 NHL teams in action first time this year. One of the very few days of the year where all teams are in action. They got staggered starts pretty much every 15 minutes until about, I think it's 9:30 Edmonton time. 7:30 Edmonton time. Then there's from the Calgary-Pittsburgh game, there's 2 after that, and there's a little bit of a break between each one. But it's pretty much 15-minute intervals right now. So lots of NHL action for you to get in on. And you can get in the game at playalberta.ca. Now, let's get to the spec report brought to you by GS Construction. And man, they've been in the game for a long time. They're growing, they're expanding. It's got a new site. They're building up, their home's going to look even better. So to give you even better underground infrastructure, GS Construction, and they're hiring. If you want to work for a great company, go to Indeed.com and look up GS Construction. As Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet joins us. And Spec, they talked about it yesterday, and obviously right now a major focal point of the Oilers is the fact that, you look at, hey, Stuart Skinner's had a good game. Their defensive game has gotten better. Their 5-on-5 scoring hasn't really got going, but their power play and their penalty kill, like their special teams, have yet to do much at all in any of their games. So you look at that, and that's a main focal point because Carolina comes in 25% on the power play, 83% on the penalty kill. The Oilers are a whopping 6.7 and 55 on the penalty kill. So it's a major area of concern early on this season for the Oilers.
Yeah, the penalty kill got off to such a wicked bad start. I mean, didn't the first 5 shots of the year go in? So it's going to take a month and a half to recover from that, right? Yeah. In terms of your percentage, it's going to take a long time. They're not that bad anymore, but they're still bad. But as long as you want to start ranking them and looking up their percentage, I'm telling you, it's going to be brutal for a month from now, even if they go perfect. Power play is different. The power play is supposed to be the bread and butter around here. And it's really a sign of a group of their best players. When your power play is not scoring, it's because your best players aren't playing very well. And when your best players aren't playing very well, you got a 2-4 record. So to me, the biggest thing here, the thing that will alleviate all of their problems, is if the guys who are supposed to score start to score and play better, it'll drag everybody along in every area of the game.
Yeah, you're probably right. And it's something you don't see very often. Like Connor McDavid over a 6-game stretch where he hasn't been the best player on the ice in one game. I can't remember the last time that happened. Maybe his rookie season, right? Zach Hyman, no points. Arvidsson, nothing. Nugent Hopkins, some secondary assists, hasn't done much. Well, I shouldn't say secondary. Did have the primary on the Draisaitl goal, but it was a 3-0 game with 3 minutes to go. Like they haven't looked really dominant at any stretch where you can say, man, they're creating a ton of chances, so they'll go in. Like right now, there's barely any chances.
No, not enough chances. I'd say the only guy I'd say it about would be Zach Hyman, who's got a lot of chances and they haven't gone in. But that's it. Leon Draisaitl's game isn't close to where his game usually is. His passing game, it's just passing game for me, Jay. He drives a line because he's a fantastic distributor of the puck. And a lot of his passes aren't ending up at the intended receiver these days. So far this season, hitting a lot of sticks, hitting a lot of skates. It's just, we all know how good he is. And when they're not getting to the places they're supposed to get, it stands out because he's usually a fantastic passer. McDavid speaks for himself. He's okay, but for McDavid to be okay, that's poor in his books. And Nugent Hopkins, barely noticed him all season long. We're 6 games in, and he has not barely done a thing. So that's just the start. Arvidsson's been mostly on Draisaitl's wing, and Draisaitl hasn't been any good, and Arvidsson hasn't been any good either. So these are all top 6 guys. Listen, they haven't lost any games 5-4 where they score a bunch, but their goaltending's bad or their defense is bad, right? They're losing games 4-1, 3-1, 6-0, because they're letting in too many, but they haven't had enough goals this year, barely at all. This team should get to 5 every 3rd or 4th game. Hadn't done that enough this year.
No, yeah, not close. Like last year, they had 41 games where they scored 4 goals or more last season.
Half the season.
And by the way, a lot of people think Edmonton gave up a lot of goals. No, Edmonton 4 more goals, total of 25 times, which was 5th fewest in the NHL last year. They were a team that they won a lot of games big. They didn't get, and they're now out of those 25 games, there's only twice where they won, right? So where they scored 5, 6, 7 goals at the same time. So, and a few of them you give up empty netters. So I'm just including all the numbers and then go through and reduce empty netters and such. But the point is, Edmonton didn't give up a lot of games where they got blown out. So I think there's a little bit of a misconception that they had terrible goaltending all of last year. Stuart Skinner under Chris Knobloch was one of the best goalies in the NHL. Most wins, 7th in expected save percentage, 6th in goals against average, 5th in save percentage. Like, those are really good numbers, right? They're solid numbers. Yeah. And, their power play was great. Their penalty kill got way better under Knobloch. And right now, they got a lot of things. The best part of their game has been their defensive game and limiting shots and scoring chances.
Yeah, and I would say up front, there's no question that their best 2 lines have alternated between their 3rd and their 4th line on a regular basis. So, I mean, it's kind of in a way that's good, because the things we always wonder about with the Oilers is shot suppression. Are they giving up too much? So if they're making headway there, that's good. And we always question their depth up front. Do they have the depth? Well, their depth guys have been really good this year. So I'm here to say that their best guys are going to come around. They're going to come around. Hey, if they don't, we all get a really great spring where we don't have to work at all. But they're going to come around, the best guys. This is going to be a playoff team, and they're going to have a whole bunch of 4 and 5 goal games. They just haven't started doing it yet. That's all.
What do you think? What is the most simple way for them to get their offense going?
The most simple way? Well, I think that this team really works off its power play. I think that if they can simplify a power play and, let a Bush bomb go and grab a rebound and throw it in, to me, Jason, this team, if they score the power play, the big guys feel good. They go back out at 5-on-5 feeling good. They either score or they draw more penalties and get more chances on the power play. I'm not saying they're power play dependent, because they've proven last season that they're not. They can win without a power play. But what I am saying is, this has always been a team where the power play gives them a really positive momentum, a really positive momentum. And at a time like this, when you're trying to score, I almost guarantee you that if they get a couple on the power play, they'll get a few more 5-on-5, because the guys that score in the power play are the guys you need to get going here.
Mark Spector joins us, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook. But the Carolina Hurricanes and Rod Brindamore, they come to town. We had Eric Tulsky on the show yesterday. Really enjoyed that interview. If anybody missed it, go to jasongregor.com or anywhere where you get your podcast and listen to hour number 2 yesterday. Tulsky, I thought, he was very honest about, hey, we wanted to keep everybody, we couldn't afford it. So then we purposely went out for guys we thought felt that would attract and play well in our system. But the most interesting comment came from him. He said, hey, we've been on average 110-point team the last 4 years, and in the playoffs, we haven't been able to get it done. And they're really looking at their team in the playoffs. Now, it's easy to say, hey, they lack a real finisher, right? McDavid can take over a game. McKinnon can take over a game. The Jack Eichel did it at times, those type of guys. They don't have that guy. Like, I like Sebastian Aho, but they only had 2 guys over 55 points last year. And so I look up and down their lineup again, Spec, and I don't see anything really different here. Like, they're kind of stuck in a tough place where they're a really good team without a great player.
Yeah. And maybe even a great playoff performer, right? Like the couple guys that really play playoff hockey and really bring it in the playoffs. I'm frankly, last year I was so busy watching our team. I can't recall watching closely how Carolina fared. I won't BS you. We were pretty busy last year. But what you see in a team like Carolina is they've always been a good regular season team, and they're not good in the playoffs. They don't have somehow what it takes. So to hear Tulsky say that, I think that's admirable. They do. That's exactly their issue here. They're better than the Toronto Maple Leafs, but they've got the same problem as the Toronto Maple Leafs, right? They win all year, but they don't win enough when it counts. They win more than Toronto in the playoffs, but not still. They can't get through the Eastern Final and get to a cup. I mean, how many Eastern Conference Finals have they been to, Jay? Two?
Two. Yeah, they went to two, but that's been like 3 or 4 years now since they went to those.
Yeah. So, teams that go that far, they're obviously totally close, but it's been 3 or 4 years. So, you know what? I mean, they've had a lot of weird things. They rode Anderson all the way, then he'd get hurt, and that screwed him up, right? I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. They've got an outstanding defense there, right? Always drooling over that defense in Carolina, and they've got some good players. You tell me what they got to do at the deadline. What are they missing? What does Tulsky think they're missing in the playoffs?
Well, he didn't want to come and say it exactly. I didn't expect him to, but I did ask. The one thing that they don't have that Toronto does have, Toronto has the star players. The difference is Toronto star guys. Because if you go, and I did all the numbers, you go back, you go look at Pasternak, you go look at McKinnon, Rantanen, Draisaitl, McDavid, the best players.
Yep.
Their game is still really good. You go look at Toronto's top guys and compare their points per game in the playoffs compared to the regular season. They all drop significantly. That's the difference. Edmonton's guys now, Edmonton's freak show and McDavid and Draisaitl, because they actually go up in the playoffs, which is really hard to do. But just to maintain it or be around there, and that's what they don't do. Carolina's guys, they remain the same production. They just don't have a game breaker sometimes who, you know what, it's a tight game, and then boom, one guy goes nuclear for a shift and you win 3-2. And they don't have that. And the only way they can go out and get it is trade for it. But it's hard to get one of those guys. That's the problem.
No, how much are you giving up? I know what Carolina has to give up to get that player, and it's going to come off their blue line, right? It's going to come off their blue line. So
I don't think their blue lines is deep. They just lost 2 of their top 4 in Shea.
And that's right. And now they're sort of pricing out in this cap system, and their blue line's starting to turn over. So, you tell me where you get that guy. You got to get him in a trade. And when you're Carolina and you're drafting late, you're not just going to get them for draft picks. You're going to have to include some good players. It's a tough nut. I mean, I'll say this. There's no the joke this summer was when they hired Tulsky and then they hired Dello, that they went from being the Caniacs to the Brainiacs. And I tell you what, there's no two smarter guys in the game to try to figure out this question we're talking about right now. I'll sit back with my arms crossed and wait to see how they handle it, man.
That's not an easy one. There's no doubt about that at all. Not at all. One last one for you, Spec. The what do you make of the Oilers and yesterday I read your article today with Bouchard, and it seemed, I don't know how to put this, like there's a lot more self-belief outwardly. I think he always had belief. You don't get to the NHL without believing in yourself, but like that interview, I don't know, Bouchard just came across as I know that a lot of the fans joke about it and they call him dad because he's always looked older than he was, and he sounded a lot older than he was in that interview.
Yeah, a couple things there. I applaud Bouchard. Like Bouchard's full disclosure. Okay, as a journalist, I like Bouchard. He's a nice guy. He seems like a good kid. Nothing wrong with him. But as a journalist, he's never furnished us with great quotes, right? You never go to him like you go to Zach Hyman, knowing that, oh boy, he's going to fill my notebook. It's going to be an easy write because I just talked to Bouchard. He's just not that guy. I'm not criticizing him. That's just the way it is. He'll get better. All of a sudden yesterday, what we saw was a guy that stood up for himself a little. We were all in there saying, what's wrong with the power play? And he stood back, and I'm paraphrasing him, but he basically said, don't worry about our power play. We're going to be fine. Don't tell us what to do. We know what to do. A little bit of sort of pushback. And I loved that. I thought that was a step forward for Bouchard. I thought he sounded confident. I thought he was a little bit protective of the guys, which I think is cool. And you know what? Like, people out there listening to this thing, sometimes I know so many of them think, Jay, when you ask a question, or more so when I ask a question, and a guy kind of disagrees with you and throws it back at you, that, oh, it's embarrassing, and oh boy, did he ever tell Spec? It's not like that. I love when I ask a guy a question and he goes, no, this is how it is, Spec. And you know what? Bouchard did a little bit of that yesterday, and I applaud him for it. This power play, what they're saying, Jay, is we've been good for 6 years. We've been the best power play in the league. Give us a little bit of time here. Don't start switching us up. Don't start giving the second team our minutes. We've earned the right to work this out ourselves. Get off our back a little bit here. That's what I'm hearing from these guys. And you know what? I kind of like that. What about you?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. And I do agree. And I've said it, like, I know Struddy said he would split up the units. I wouldn't do that yet. I have no problem though. If you can bench Leon Draisaitl for a few shifts, I have no problem with starting my second unit power play one time if McDavid's line's been out there for 40 plus seconds. I wouldn't have a problem doing that. And Struddy he admitted, he goes, hey man, I was a top penalty killer. When all of a sudden the coach would start the other penalty killing unit, pissed me off. It got me going. Now, it's not embarrassing because you're going to get out there right away anyway, but it's just a little bit like, oh, a little bit of a jolt here. Okay, let's get going. So, I think I don't think they're there yet, Spec, but I think it's close. I think that would be the first move rather than splitting up the unit. I wouldn't agree. To me, it makes zero sense to put McDavid and Draisaitl on separate power plays. There's not one team in the league who has their two best players on separate power play. It'd be idiotic. All you do is weaken them.
So if you read my piece yesterday, Gulletson talks about the last 2 years they started slowly and they became excellent.
But they didn't start slow. I looked at it's funny. I read your article. I went and looked at it. And I'm like, Gully, what are you talking about? They in their first 6 games, they had 7 power play goals.
Well, according to Gulletson, who coaches the thing, he said they were 14th in the league in chances on the power play.
Oh, okay, but their goals.
These are internal NHL analytics.
Okay. In chances,
generally, as a journalist, we look these things up. When a guy gives you a stat, I look them up because guys are usually wrong. Gully pulled out that stat from his analytics. I couldn't look it up, so I'm going to trust him. But, I mean, my point, I'll stand by it, man. Like, there's 2 things here. First of all, Jay, you bench Draisaitl because he's taken selfish, crappy penalties. That's why you bench Draisaitl. This power play isn't being selfish or not trying or not working. This is a different deal. They're working and trying. It's just not working for them. So I'm with you. You don't have to, especially if McDavid's line's on, you can start the other guys, but it is not time to start punishing these guys for poor performance, man. They've been the best there is for 6 years. It's been 6 games. I think they've earned a little better than that.
Spec, we'll see you at the rink. Have a good one.
Sounds good, Jake.
There you go. That's Mark Spector. The Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. That's why I said I don't think they're there yet, but I think it might get to the point where you try the second unit first, one time, not every time, just talking one time. And you can easily convince yourself, hey, the guy's been out there for 45 minutes. Hey, this guy's a little fatigued. Don't worry, we'll go right to you. But hey, they wouldn't be the first team that does it. It happens once in a blue moon. I think it'd be fun. Quick break. We'll come back. DVD joins us next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients, better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. That's SPORTS20.
Ain't it beautiful? There's electricity in the air. Carrie Dahl here from Volvo of Edmonton, where the Volvo XC40 and C40 fully electric vehicle is now in stock, along with a great selection of Volvo T8 hybrid models. Experience the trusted Volvo quality and technology to power into tomorrow at Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Experience the difference.
Volvo of Edmonton.
For 5 days only, the President's Sale is on at the Brick. We've got the best offers of the season, like up to 50% off mattresses, up to $800 off sectionals, and up to 65% off sofas when you buy the matching love seat or chair. Also, when you buy more, you save more, up to an additional $1,000 when you buy 2 or more select major kitchen appliances. Plus, prepare for the holidays with our price protection guarantee. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
At the end of the day, I don't just feel like I worked hard. I can see my hard work with my own eyes. At the end of the day, I come home to my own place. At the end of the day, I know I'm making a difference in my community. At the end of the day, I grab a bite with my coworkers, or as I like to call them, my friends. At the end of the day, I wouldn't trade a career in the trades for anything.
Get more with a career in the trades. Explore careers at alberta.ca/trades. A message from the Government of Alberta.
Did you pick a winner? 5:30. Congratulations. Thanks, everybody who text in the code word. We'll probably do that again. Very simple, easy way. If you go to our YouTube or Facebook page, put the code word on the screen, and then you text it in to 833-401-1440. Combining everything so that when you're there, you hit the like button for Connor Halley, and good karma will come your way. Now, I don't know if you hit the like button, but you'll know. Doesn't say who hit it. All I know is there was a big splurge when we asked. So thank you. It's like Connor's little thing that the small things in life can make you smile. Congratulations, Cons. Who is the winner today?
Winner today is Dave A.
Dave A.
I know he hit the like button.
Oh, you know that for sure?
For sure. Facts.
Oh, facts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Facts. I like that. So, Dave, good luck. You're actually not good luck. Congratulations. You're going to the game tonight. Section 118. That's center ice. And by the way, just a reminder for Friday's game, I talked about it yesterday and I said I'd get confirmation. So yes, indeed. I said they were going to have the Hall of Fame ceremony for the first time. It's going to be after the game. So once the game ends, it's going to be a lot quicker than normal, right? They'll do the 3 stars really fast. Boom. Then there'll be about 7 to 8 minutes to set it up. So if you want to go to the washroom, you can. Also, the concessions will be open. So if you want to get yourself an extra chicken wing or, your kid wants some more popcorn, I'll have that, a beer for yourself. It's Friday night. And then they'll have the Hall of Fame ceremony for Craig McTavish and Randy Gregg after the game. In case you're wondering why they switched it, well, there's a significant fine in the NHL now. If you have a pregame ceremony and it happens to go over, and because you can, let's say, okay, we're going to give so-and-so 5 minutes to speak, and somebody gets into it and all of a sudden they go over. Well, does anybody want to stop them if they're telling a really good story? Excuse me, sir, your 5 minutes are up. Of course not. But if that happens and you go over, then what happens? So, and plus, asking if you start at 6:00, it's harder for some people to get to the game in time. So they've moved it to after the game. So speeches can maybe go a little bit longer, be a little bit more heartfelt potentially, and away you go. If you're wondering why, that's why they're doing it. I actually think it's a good idea. I don't have a problem with it. I think now I know if the team loses, but what if the team wins? Everybody's even in a better mood. So we'll see what happens. That'll be Friday night, McTavish and Greg as they go into the Oilers Hall of Fame, and it'll be post-game. So there you have it. Let's get to DVD as we go in the room, brought to you by Action Electrical. Take action on your savings right now, actionelectrical.net. DVD, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm excellent. So right in the story post-game, you'll have to be pretty quick if you want to get in the ceremony. So speed things up.
Yeah, exactly. Will we? I got the luxury this year of being a bit of a feature writer, so I get to kind of pick my spots. I don't have to worry about post-game, game stories like used to before.
Yeah.
So, we'll see if we can find a nice feature maybe before the game or something like that. But yeah, that'll be fun. I'm a big fan of both of those. Grew up watching both of them play, and then obviously dealt a lot with Craig McTavish when he was coach of the Oilers and worked with him on an everyday basis. So it's good for them, and I'm excited for both of them.
Oh yeah, no, it should be. I think it'd be obviously a huge honor for both of them to be up there in the Hall of Fame for a long time in the organization. For McTavish, basically in every role, player, coach, GM. It's a pretty good run for him.
Yeah.
Looking at the Oilers, and there's a lot of reasons not to be concerned. And to me, the main reason not to be concerned about the Oilers long term is the one area of their game that we thought would be maybe the most concerning, team defense, has actually been the best part of their game 5-on-5.
Yeah, we thought that they're having trouble scoring, and obviously
Yes.
the power play is obviously a big issue with that. I thought they generated obviously a lot against Dallas. For so far, I think they are generating chances. They had a lot against Calgary, but they let Calgary hang around, and they ended up losing that game. They had a lot against Philadelphia. They had a lot against Nashville. They had a lot against Dallas. So they're generating those chances. They're not converting on them yet. And I know that the big concern right now is the power play. And we talked to We talked to a lot of guys about that, and then people are saying, well, you got to tweak this, you got to change this. To me, the big thing is that when you have a power play that's been that good for that long, teams are going to go in that video room and study every inch of it, every aspect of it, and they're going to try and figure out a way to kind of shut it down or to kind of limit it. And I think once one team is kind of successful, then it's a copycat league. Then every team has to do that. So the game is always evolving, and things are always evolving. And I think you have to try and stay a step ahead of everything. You can't just keep doing the things that you were doing for the last 4 or 5 years and expect them to work. Teams are going to evolve. They're going to change. They're going to change things up. So I think the Oilers have to do that. And I think Chris Knobloch touched on that the other day. Is like, hey, you got to give some credit to some other teams. They've obviously done their homework. They're seeing something that they're trying to shut down. And it's up to us now to go back in the video room or go back to work and try and tweak it again so we can get back to that level. So, it's kind of interesting. The scoring was supposed to be such a big thing that people were saying, well, they're going to score 5-6 goals a game. This year they have so much depth, they have so much talent on offense, and it's just a matter of keeping the puck out of their own net. Like right now, the scoring's an issue. But you're right. If you're a half glass full guy, then you're thinking, okay, well, defensively they're not playing that badly. They've given up a couple of grade A chances in Dallas. It cost them, but they can work with that. They can work if you give up 2 or 3 goals a game. They should be able to overcome that with the amount of offense they have on this team.
Yeah, and that like their power play, well, it's not going to sit at 6.7% at some point. Like it'll take a while to get back up just because when you start that poorly. But the other thing is it's only 6 games. So if you have 2 really good games where all of a sudden you go, 2 for 4 and 2 for 4, well suddenly your power play goes from 1 for 15, and suddenly it's 5 for 23, and you're right there, you're above 20%, right? So it's early in the year, it can be easy to recover from that. It's a little bit harder for the penalty kill because they've allowed so many goals thus far, right? Like a 9 on 20 chances. And I know early on the first few games it was terrible. So it's harder to recover from your penalty kill early in the year because usually it's so bad. And, even if you're 75 or 80%, well, you got to do that all the time just to get back to that. So they'll need a few perfect games to do it. Would you, like they've switched one thing up on the penalty kill is Nurse and Ekholm are now together on the first penalty kill unit. They play a lot. And then they have Kulak, and he bounces around with, now Emberson's out. So it'll likely be Dermott tonight. The penalty kill units and what they're doing, they've talked about it. Like Nurse said, we're not necessarily in sync, right? Like it's funny. The power play has always been in sync. And so they have tendencies maybe they're looking at, but the penalty kill just seems like you're that one step out and one guy moves the wrong way and the other guy goes the other way. And now you're open and it's a puck in the back of the net. So it might take a little bit more time for that to get going, eerily similar to last season.
Yeah, and the penalty kill is a unit, and they're not working as a unit. And I don't think they're blocking enough shots. I don't think they're winning enough battles. I don't think it's one and done, which a good penalty killing unit does. They get one shot, you win the puck and fire it down the ice. You got to win more face-offs in your own zone. Like there's so many things that are going on with that unit. Guys are running into each other, going out to try and block a shot. It's just they're not working as a 4-man unit right now. And then I think obviously that it changes because you have different personnel in there. You have different guys working, especially on the back end. You've got guys killing penalties that didn't kill a lot of penalties last year. So I think that kind of is the difference. And I think part of it is the net front. They got to be tougher in front of the net. They got to win more battles in front of the net. And they're getting caught chasing a little bit too much. And I think when you're killing a penalty, you don't want to give up those grade A chances right in front of the net. And I'm thinking they're doing a lot of that. They're just leaving the front of the net. They're not staying tight. And then you talk about adapting. I think that's another thing that they have to do is maybe they have to simplify their PK. I know that everyone likes an aggressive PK. You go out and you challenge shooters and you get aggressive, but you have to do a couple of things if you're going to be aggressive. You have to win those battles for the puck when they're loose pucks, and you have to be able to get the puck down the ice. And I think that's something that the Oilers aren't doing right now is that they're spending a lot of time in their own zone, and it's not one and done for other teams. So that'll come around. It's just like I said, it's a unit. Guys are playing in that position that probably didn't play a lot before. You still have a pretty good tandem in Brown and Janmark up there. Nugent Hopkins is killing penalties up there. So you got guys that have done it before, but I just think the combination of the guys that have done it together is not quite there. It's not meshing. It's not clicking. And they had obviously a couple of really bad games on the unit, so that really skews those numbers. So, but your penalty killing, the best way to do it is just not take penalties. You got to be a bit more disciplined as well. Same with the power play. They won for 15, so that works out to 3 penalties a game, 3 power plays a game. Maybe you got to try and generate a bit more in the sense of getting more than 2 or 3 power plays a game. So there's lots to work on. Obviously, it starts tonight, and I think what we're looking at is obviously Edmonton doesn't want to fall into the type of hole that they fell into last year. Took them a 16-game winning streak to get out of it. So they want to kind of have their game come around, and there's different little parts that are coming around, but it's all not there yet. It's all not together as of yet, and we'll see what happens tonight.
You mentioned you do a lot of feature stories, DVD. You do some of the feature stories, Jets, Canucks, Flames, Oilers. Is there a player that you're interested in doing one on, and why?
Yeah, today Jackson Blake, the rookie for the Carolina Hurricanes, talked to him a little bit. I was at practice yesterday. Good talk with him. He's a guy that was a finalist for Hobie Baker last year from North Dakota. Played a lot of hockey. He's from the area and came in and scored 2 goals in his first 4 games. So Carolina is a very much similar team to Edmonton. There's not a lot of spots for rookies. Like, I hate to think what it cost Emerson to do the rookie dinner the other. I heard they did the rookie dinner on the road, and Emerson's the only rookie on the team, if I'm correct. He
played 30 games last year, so he wouldn't qualify as a rookie.
Well, he's technically a rookie. Don't you have to play 40 to not be a rookie?
No, over.
I thought the cutoff was 40.
No, it's over 25 in a season.
Okay, so who paid the rookie dinner? They had the rookie dinner on the road the other day.
Maybe they just do all the new guys. Right? Maybe it's Skinner, Arvidsson, they all chime in. I don't know. That's a good question. I'll have to ask.
That'd be a lot better for just the new guys. But he's Jackson Blake. He's only played 5 games. So we chatted with him and see how he's doing. I think Carolina, like I said, is a veteran team. They have a lot of older guys. I think the average age is 28, 29, something like that. So it's tough to make a team that's kind of a championship contender. So he went out. They weren't sure what they were going to get from him. He made the team. So far, he's playing real well. So looking forward to see how he does tonight and how he does going forward.
DVD, we'll see you at the rink. Have a good one.
Sounds good. See you there.
There you go. That's Derek Van Diest from NHL.com. Early in the NHL. Also, shout out to the association as the NBA tipped off another season tonight. You have the defending champion Boston Celtics. They raised their banner tonight to get the season going. They're taking on the New York Knicks. So 2 games in the NBA, but there's 16 games in the NHL. Some early scores already. We'll get to those. And there was a heavyweight tilt in the Washington Philly game. We'll discuss that. Hear more from Chris Knobloch as we get set. And remember, after our show, it is pregame show with Walker and Paulson here on Sports 1440, Edmonton's sports leader.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
The Junior Prospects Hockey League is entering its 3rd season of gameplay. The JPHL now offers academic and athletic opportunities in the 14U, 15, 17, and 18U age divisions. All JPHL games are broadcast live on Silent Ice TV with a showcase-style game schedule and high level of travel and accommodations for its team, staff, and players. To learn more about why the JPHL is the fastest-growing elite hockey academy stream in Western Canada, visit juniorprospectshockeyleague.com.
Legacy Heating and Cooling jingle auditions, take 1 for Gene Principe. Are you ready, Gene?
Ready? I'm not just here to make a thermal couple of bucks. I'd never just microphone it in.
Take 1.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
Nice.
Boom! I'm a musical genius.
Legacy's going to love this for furnace season.
What's not to love with no interest and no Principe payments for 1 year?
Are you always like this?
Yep. Unlike a furnace, I have no filter.
Legacy Heating and Cooling.
I couldn't ignore it.
Everyone kept saying,
"You look so tired."
Are you getting enough sleep, dear?
Hon, you look like you need some rest.
but I'm not tired. I guess I just look that way.
But you don't have to. I'm Dr. Vance Elliott, and I provide skin refreshing treatments designed to give you a fresh and natural appearance. Don't worry, we won't drastically change how you look, but we will help you look as energetic as you feel. Book your consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
Hey, it's Scott from Sherwood and St. Albert Dodge. I think it's safe to say we are all paying attention to interest rates these days. If so, you'll like this. We have 0% financing available on Jeep Compass, Wrangler, Grand Cherokee, and Wagoneer. 0% on the Dodge Durango and the all-new Hornet. And the rates on Ram 1500, Ram 2500, and Ram 3500, you guessed it, 0%. Are you picking up the theme? We have 0% financing on virtually all 2024 new models with hundreds to choose from. Why pay interest? Instead, come get a new vehicle at St. Albert and Sherwood Dodge.
When was the last time your electricity and natural gas provider made you feel like this? Low rates, no strings attached, year-round perks, and local energy experts who always have your back. With Encore by EPCOR. Find that carefree energy feeling at encore.epcor.com/carefree.
Customers are free to purchase natural gas or electricity services from a retailer of their choice. For a list of retailers, visit ucahelps.alberta.ca or call 310-4822 toll-free.
.547. Welcome back, Jason Gregor. Connor Halley with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook. And whoo, mama, it is an ass kicking early on in Montreal tonight. The Rangers up 4 Cobb. The Canadians, their team defense right now is struggling. Columbus early lead in the first 5 minutes, 2-0 over Toronto. The Wild in Florida leading 3 Cobb. And the Capitals up 2-0 on the Flyers. So lots of early 2, 3, 4 goal leads. Lightning and Devils, though, the one game that is tied 1-1 after 20 minutes in a 16-game NHL slate. Tonight, coming up, we have, of course, the pregame show. Oilers taking on the Carolina Hurricanes. You'll hear from Chris Knobloch coming up in the pregame show. It was interesting. Today, to me, the big story is Darnell Nurse. When you consider no Kane, you consider no Desharnais, and just the need for a more physical, consistent presence and how it's helped his game. Nurse has played more physical. He talked about it today, and that's helped him out. Just also talked about how playing more aggressive helps him, against the opposition. Also, kind of feeds into his game of just being better on pucks.
100%. Way more effective, I think. Being physical. It also brings out the skating element in my game because you want to close down things quick. You want to be in people's faces. And I think, it's probably an area of my game that I probably wasn't happy with over the last year and a bit. That, I probably didn't bring that element enough. And this season, it's definitely something that I want to bring and try to bring on a nightly basis.
The penalty kill. What's his early thoughts on the PK, and what does it need to do to improve?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely aren't killing at the clip that, we feel like we're capable of killing at. With that said, I mean, I remember last year we went through a stretch where, it was kind of like we were building our penalty kill and building a lot of those core foundation steps that made us successful in the playoffs. And I think in a lot of senses, we're looking at our kill right now, and there are some areas that when we're out there killing on our toes and being instinctual, like we're doing some really good things, but the puck is going in the net. So we got to find ways to clean up those big chances that we're giving. But like I said, there's also an element of us as a PK. We take such pride in it, and we can talk to any guy that kills in our group. It's one of the things that we really take pride in. So we're building that foundation. We don't want to get discouraged because you don't want to get slow and back up. For us, when we're aggressive, we're our best.
There you have it. Hey, Gregor, it sure looks like the Oilers missed the boat on Broberg. He's dominating at both ends of the rink. Honestly, do you think he get 80 points this year from Doug? Nope. 80 points, Doug, is really, really hard to do. If you look, actually, you know what? Broberg, he's put up points. No question about it. Great for him. If you look at their defensive numbers, and if you just look at his on-ice shooting percentage, his on-ice save percentage, for people who rock a PDO, when if you're at 1.00, it's kind of even out. Sometimes you get to 1.025, you're pretty lucky. He's at 1.12. So, he's riding a huge heater of luck right now. Good for him. But do I think it's going to last? No. And could the Oilers have used Broberg? 100%. But they didn't have the money to pay him $4.6 million. If we all look back in hindsight, if there was one thing I think the Oilers could have done, it wasn't negotiate a contract in January when he was not playing. He was unhappy. He'd asked for a trade then. Why would he sign a contract? But you brought him up. You played him late in the season. Now you go to say, hey, Philip, we want to play you in the playoffs. But before we play in the playoffs, why don't you sign a 2-year deal, $1.5 million? You get to play in the playoffs. Now you got a one-way contract. You're locked in. Here we go. You might have done it. Or maybe he wouldn't have. But here's the thing. If he didn't do it, because no one would ever know. You just could have played Desharnais. And who knows what would have happened. But if Broberg didn't play in the playoffs, there's no chance he was getting that contract offer from St. Louis. He wasn't getting an offer sheet at 4.6, being basically a minor league player. But he played very well when he got the chance. And he cashed in. Unbelievable. I can't think of a player in NHL history who was able to turn 10 games into $9.2 million. And that's really what Broberg did. Awesome. Good for him. I think it's fantastic. But if anybody thought before, when Broberg even went into first game, if you thought he was going to jump up to 4.6, most people thought, Edmonton's going to resign him 1.5, 1.7. Some thought maybe get up to $2 million. No one saw 4.6. So, hey, give his agent credit. Right? St. Louis went out there and they felt like they needed him. And you know what? Might turn out to be a steal for them. It's been a good start to the season, but it's a small sample size yet. I wouldn't, 80 points, I would very cautiously say no, because there's very few defensemen who score 80 points. Have yourselves a wonderful Tuesday evening. Enjoy all the hockey, the NBA. If that's your thing, it's back. We got the pregame show coming up next. More wall-to-wall coverage here on Sports 1440. On behalf of Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, Terry Ryan, I'm Jason Gregor. Have a great night. Here's Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where the rates never change. No overtime charges. Your furnace conks out, call Legacy. They'll fix it. No OT. That's how you build a legacy at legacyheating.ca. Good night.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Very busy night in the NHL. Every team in action. The Oilers take on the Hurricanes down at the Ice District, about an hour, 10 minutes away from that one. We've got our pregame coverage getting going at the top of the hour with Andrew Walker and Donovan Paulson right here on Sports 1440. Once the game wraps up, they're back for postgame. Game's currently underway after 40 minutes. Caps on top of the Flyers, 2-0. The Wild lead the Panthers 3-1 in the second. Also in the second, Devils have a 2-1 lead over the Tampa Bay Lightning. Stars and Sabres scoreless at the end of the first. And in the first, the Canadiens trail the Rangers 4-1. Jackets lead the Maple Leafs 2-0. And just getting going, Rangers, Islanders scoreless in the first. Later tonight, Blues taking on the Jets. You got the Canucks in Chicago, Kraken host the Avs. Bruins take on the Preds, Sens in Utah, Flames and the Penguins. Sharks take on the Ducks, and the Kings heading to Sin City. In the association, defending NBA champs kicking off their season hosting the Knicks. Celtics up 27-17. That one in the first quarter. Later tonight, you got the Timberwolves taking on the Lakers of Los Angeles. And from the NFL, Puka Nacua could be returning soon to the Rams as they open up his 21-day practice window. He was placed on the IL with a sprained PCL in week 1, missing 5 games. And sticking with the Rams, reports indicate that the team has called multiple other teams looking to trade star wide receiver Cooper Kupp. They've said they would be willing to take on some of his 2024 salary and are seeking a second-round pick in return. That's going to do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Coming up next, pregame coverage with Andrew Walker and Donovan Paulson. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
It's Sports 1440.